Yeah, we're both in there.
Are we live?
Right. We're live.
We're live.
We're
Awesome.
live. Yeah.
Sweet. So what's going on, man? How's life?
It's been a horrible week.
Why is that?
Well, I have had my head up my ass every day this week with different things. Just,
What happens?
the usual stuff that makes you hate yourself. Leaving, not having your wallet. That was earlier today.
Oh, that's fun.
Going to give you the car seat that I somehow forgot to take out of my car with the child.
No,
So
he
that-
left the child at home with his wife, but he took the car seat, which the wife needed in order to take the child to the store.
Or
I had to
anywhere
go
else
pick
for
it up.
that matter. Like, she couldn't leave the house to come get the car seat because she had no car seat to put the child in to
Yep.
come get it.
That is the proverbial definition of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And to top it off, when I went to the parking lot, which is almost 3 blocks away, which one is that?
Dark Fired Kentucky. Sounds like
Yeah.
something that I would really like.
It sounds like something you would like.
But
I haven't had it yet. And
the smell is gross.
Is it?
I'm sorry.
I haven't smelled it yet.
I'm sorry to Cornell and Heel.
Deal.
Deal?
Deal.
Yeah, whatever.
I.
Damn Germans.
Actually, what, North Carolina? Something like that?
No, I'm assuming Kentucky.
No,
Oh, South Carolina. Why did they name it Kentucky? That doesn't make any sense.
because they
Why
get
wouldn't
the
you say-
tobacco from Kentucky, and it's smoked in Kentucky. Like, when they ferment it, they smoke it in these barns
Where'd you-
for several days.
So, Sutliff. Sunset Rum. That smell. Wow. Oh, wow. That smells like rum. That brings back high school days. Oh.
Wow, you started out with the good stuff, because for me, it was, I'm going to try this Dark Fired Kentucky.
Do it.
For me, it was like, well, it was college for one, because I didn't drink in high school. Party pooper, yeah, I know. But it was like Boone's Farm and Mad Dog 2020, and basically anything that I could get the most of for under $5.
In early high school, freshman, sophomore year, it was Natty Ice. I went to a redneck school though, so. Well,
You guys were
I went-
making moonshine out in your friend's cornfield or anything?
no, actually, we had a dumbass post flyers to a kegger,
I think you told me about this.
and of course, it got shut down.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's smart at 15, 16 years
They
old.
think they are.
But you're not, especially when you start posting flyers to a kegger in your high school. I'm gonna try this haunted bookshop. It smells pretty good.
This is all stuff that I was told people wanted me to do reviews on. So, yeah, we're smoking it today, but I will be doing reviews on these throughout the week.
I'll tell you if it's shit or not. Right now. Well, give me 5 minutes. So, yeah. I totally got rained out this morning when I was sitting in my tree stand. That was fun.
I
Didn't
thought
see.
you were the badass hunter that, like, would poncho it.
Oh no, okay, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say I'm badass, but I would say that I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that I've sat through a rainstorm. But when you're sitting there and thunder and lightning is crackling over your head, and you're sitting in a metal crate 15, 20 feet above the ground in a, highly conductive tree in the middle of a field, it kind of tends to make one think, I don't want to ever get hit by lightning.
Well, see, if this was the Joe Rogan podcast, the story would have started out with, I took 5 hits of mushrooms, climbed up into a tree, and a thunderstorm came through.
Well, did it though? Then at that point, then I would ask you, but did it really? I mean, I don't know about you if you've ever taken mushrooms or not.
No.
But maybe it happened. Maybe it didn't. Maybe the sky was just really wavy.
I didn't think you hallucinated on mushrooms. I thought it just kind of like altered the reality
It does.
that you're in.
It's cool. Like, I've never done DMT. One thing that he rants and raves about. I've never done that.
But he never talks about the people that had bad experiences.
That's the one thing. Like, I'm all about trying different things, but try it. If you freak out on it, don't ever try it again.
Whatever that is, I must kill it.
Oh, that is wrong.
Yeah. Well, first on-air kill of the day.
You know, I'm trying to kill something. Trying. It's not working out so well.
Giant fly. I have no idea what the hell it was.
Rude.
Hey, it wasn't invited. It was not invited to this party.
PETA is going to come on here and is going to totally like give you so much crap for that.
Hey, I will put a I love hunting flies all over my car if it pisses them off.
That's one thing that I just found out the other day. I think PETA is like the #1 killer of domesticated animals. Like as organizations, because they put so many domesticated like cats and dogs. They put so many of them down.
What, are they getting like rescues or something, or?
Well, I mean, if you take them to, I would assume. Like, I don't know the actual context. It was just something I heard. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean,
a tornado siren in the distance?
I don't. It probably, maybe.
Oh, fun fact. Did you know that the tornado sirens no longer work in Kalamazoo?
Wait. Then it wouldn't be a tornado siren.
So, this happened a couple weeks ago.
But you just said, though, is that a tornado siren?
That is so far in the distance, that is not Kalamazoo.
Okay,
So what happened, we had that tornado that, I don't know if it touched down, but it was sighted a couple weeks back. And Sarah and I were out. We actually went to Tibbs that day because, like, downtown Kalamazoo, blue skies, it was sunny, and what was that? Was that your phone?
That was my phone.
Oh, okay. So
Turn it down.
So we're in the brewery, and they have like the weather, the News 3 weather stuff on the TV in the bar, and it's saying tornado warning, blah blah blah. Somebody's saying it was sighted. Nobody in the bar believed that we were having a tornado because the sirens were going off.
Oh my god.
So we're all just sitting there
You
like,
can look outside and kind of determine, like, yeah, that's kind of some shady weather going on.
but tornadoes can move so fast, and it can be a clear blue sky. Next thing you know, there's like clouds coming at you.
That hits hard. Sorry to cut you off. Anyways.
So then we later found out that so everyone's at the bar like, oh yeah, I'll have another, and the bartender's not really thinking anything of it, and then we're like, should we move this to the lower bar in the basement where there's like no glass or anything? Because the whole thing upstairs, you've been there.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing is just a bunch of picture windows
Oh, yeah.
that are just waiting to shatter and like slice up everything that's inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, like an hour later, it was all clear.
Tibbs is a local brewery that we go to. It's a microbrew. He actually turned me onto it.
I
when
like
first
beer.
opened.
I like beer. I like beer. Okay? I still like beer.
As you're drinking wine.
Okay. I said I like it. I don't love it. I love wine.
You know, I tried to drink some wine the other night with my fiance. I was out of beer and I didn't feel like going to the store, so I was like, oh, I'll have a glass of wine. I had like 2 sips of it, and I was like, I can't anymore. Can't do
You
it.
need to find like the hillbilly wine.
Moonshine? Yes.
No,
I
like,
love moonshine.
not moonshine, like hillbilly wine where they like use like strawberries and dump a bunch of sugar on it. And half the time you can carbonate it if you do it right.
My dad made some a couple years ago, and apparently it was like like a Merlot, like it had, like it was really dry, but it was like 60% alcohol.
Oh, like a port?
He got a hold of a 55-gallon drum. It was a 55-gallon barrel that they made whiskey out of. Obviously, they didn't have whiskey in it anymore, and he heard that you could make wine out of it. Mm-hmm. So he bought a ton of grapes, a ton of sugar, and threw it in there, and a bunch of yeast.
Yeah, that's why it was 60%. Holy shit! Because if you have you can check the sugar content in the grapes to know like what you're going to get out of it if you mash them.
Yeah, he mashed. He made my mom mash them. My mom,
like foot stomping?
No.
Okay.
But I went there like a couple days after she did it, and her hands were still purple. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Why are your hands like purple? You didn't paint or anything like that." She's like, "That's from the grapes that your dad made me mash." Oh, sorry.
So to finish the tornado story.
Yes.
So the next day we found out everyone was asking, why didn't the sirens go off if there really was a fucking tornado? And the county commissioners came out and said, well, we didn't have the money in the budget to fix the sirens, and we figured everybody has cell phones these days, so it wasn't necessary to keep them going anymore. So the thing is, you know, everybody gets a text from the president as what happened this week.
Oh, God. And everybody took that. You know, New York is suing him.
Good.
Because they triggered him. It's a national testing. It was a national test. Like, it's not like he linked his Twitter feed to it.
They're suing him for non-payment of taxes.
No, they're suing.
Well, they must have a couple of lawsuits.
They might have a couple of lawsuits. I don't know anything about the tax thing. Mm-hmm. But New York, I don't know what group in New York, but I just read that New York, that's all it was in the headline, is suing Trump because they triggered him, or he triggered them because of that text message. What? Now, if it was a link to his Twitter feed, okay, then I can understand why people would be pissed off. Or if he just started sending out,
hey, we have a viewer. Hey guys, how are you? Just checking in to say hi because I am at work. Aww, always nice to see you and hear you.
I'm sorry.
Well, if we had this in podcast form, he could probably listen to it at work.
If you are interested in reading something, I just started a blog, WordPress. What was it?
It's a shameless self-promotion of a blog post that you are not getting any money for.
No, I'm not getting paid for any of this.
Right.
Yeah. I actually wrote these blogs while I was at work. But Redneck Obsession.
Yeah, George Grease. Yes, we remember you.
We do? I don't remember it.
Last time we were on. It was like morning for him.
I was half a case of beer in, though, so I don't judge me. Redneck Obsession at .wordpress.com? I think it's redneckobsession.wordpress.com. Check it out. I've only got a couple on there. But if you're interested, leave comments. I'm trying really hard to see how my writing career is. Or my writing ability.
The question is, does Greece have their own version of a redneck? And do you know what a redneck is?
Every country on the planet has rednecks.
Do they?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes, they do. They may not call themselves rednecks. They may have their own version. But every country has rednecks. If you know anybody that their definition of moving is putting their house on the trailer and moving it across the street, that is a redneck. That's a Jeff Fox.
Say it again, please. Okay, the question is, does Greece have rednecks?
Yes.
Yeah. Do they?
I would assume.
I don't know.
I mean, you got, first off, you have to define what is the word redneck.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a very broad.
Exactly. So anybody that hunts, fishes, or goes traipsing around in the woods could be considered a redneck.
Okay, an easier way to look this up is just put in the search Jeff Foxworthy redneck.
And you'll get it.
And you'll get it.
You will get your answer.
If you've got more than 3 dogs living under your porch, you might be a redneck.
If you think possum is what's served for Thanksgiving dinner, you might be a redneck.
Isn't it, though?
It might be.
Huh.
I mean, possum's not bad. I've eaten it. I've never eaten it for Thanksgiving.
You always have to question what's in the pot pie, because the turkey is whole, and then there's like this weird mystery meat that's in the pie.
Dog.
No.
I don't know.
Maybe the cat.
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story that perfectly defines my version of what a redneck is. We had a family in the house that I grew up at.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you went to a family reunion.
No, God, no. I mean, I've gone to a couple of those too, but I've never picked up chicks there. Shut up. No, we had a family, whole family, grandparents, kids, grandkids.
I see it now. It's new, right? No, this is Jeff Foxworthy. Oh.
No, I think you're talking about
the
my
blog. Yep.
Yes, it is new. I started it earlier this week, I think. It's Life of a Bow Hunter Part 1, Life of a Bow Hunter Part 2, and Thoughts of a Predator.
Yeah.
They're just things that out in the woods, things that pop into my head.
Which is a great title, by the way, because the movie's out. People are going to think that you're doing something about the movie.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do about...
Yep, it's a blog. Woo!
Yes, thank you. I appreciate ACEs. I appreciate you. Anyways, we had this family, this whole family, extended family, that moved into the house a couple doors down. And they were from Bosnia. And the grandparents couldn't speak any English. The kids and the grandkids were the ones that primarily translated. And their English was okay. But I don't remember for the holiday, but anyways, the grandfather was out digging a big hole in his backyard. I mean, like a grave. So me and my dad walked over there and we're like, so, what are you doing? What's going on? He was like, oh, goat. That's all he could say. I don't know.
He's cooking the goat?
Come to find out, there is a holiday in Bosnia, and this is downtown. I mean, not down. This is just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. A subdivision, house, house after house. This guy is digging a fire pit in his backyard that was 6 feet long by 4 feet wide to roast a goat. Now, that's a tradition that he probably does that they do. I don't know, but that's a redneck. Like in my definition,
I don't.
That's a redneck.
No, I consider that good cooking.
But how many rednecks do you know that can cook?
Very few.
What?
Oh yeah. Very few. Because so my wife is from a very, very small town, and they have these barbecues. The weird thing is, there's like within sight of this on the property, you can see 3 propane/charcoal grills, and they do a couple hot dogs. That's about it. Everything else is bought at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And they're not doing like good barbecue. They're not doing barbecue. That's the thing.
They're just basically just cooking out.
They're just
tailgating is what they're doing.
Pretty much, yeah. They should just call it tailgating, especially since so it's her grandma's property, and there's like several members of the family that live on the property. That's redneck. Because it's all like it's not even mobile homes; it's campers, and
That's another Jeff Foxworthy quote for you. If Jeff Foxworthy is watching, which I doubt.
Well, hopefully her family's not watching.
If your family, or if you and your entire family are living on the same property, but they all have their own house, you're a redneck.
If you have electricity in your home that is all from an extension cord going to another family member's home, that's redneck.
No, now you're dancing that line of just straight white trash.
Oh, wow. I did not call her family white trash. I did not do that. That smells really good.
It hits really hard.
Mm-hmm. It has a high nicotine content.
Yeah, that's oh, wow.
I think this
tastes
does
good,
too,
but
man.
It just hits really hard.
All right, so the Dark Fired Kentucky by Cornell and Deal. I would say it starts out a little rough in the flavor, and then it mellows out, and then it gets really creamy and smooth at the end.
What is that?
That's the Dark Fired Kentucky. It's really good.
This is a haunted
bookshop.
Mm-hmm.
Matches A60, one of his favorite blends. Also, Ziggy Num Nums, and who else is a big fan? Seems like everybody's a big fan of Haunted Bookshop, but Matches is the one that really put that out there.
I really like that. What was it? Grumpy Piper did.
Yeah.
He posted that yesterday. Shout out to Grumpy Piper for that one.
Pipe Grump.
Is it Pipe Grump?
Pipe Grump.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That was an awesome video.
That was very good. He said that to me at about 11 o'clock last night. And he's like, dude, you need to watch this before our podcast.
And he's the one. Another shout out to Pipe Grump. He broke the cherry on the GAW. He's the first one to respond with the VR and
really?
the contest.
Nice.
And, so hopefully,
I'm going to steal your pipe. Just to let you know.
Hopefully, Pipe Grump has gotten some other people to go, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I love the little clips where it's like him listening to him.
I want to know. I want to see Pipe Grump's tobacco stash. If he's able to
got
do
a video.
Does he?
He has
All
this
right, I'll
really
have to see it because I only watched that one video that you sent me last night from him. I didn't have time today to.
So he's got this really cool wood shop in his barn garage. It's a very large garage, and he's got a video where he's making the shelves and he's measuring everything, and then he's got the 3 sections, and he installed it in his closet. He has this. I wouldn't say it's a walk-in closet, but it's fairly big. And he's got it all surrounded. It's just high enough where he can reach everything, so the kids aren't getting into his stuff or whatever. Yeah. No, go away. Attacking the bees. No, go away. What is God? If it's not, don't piss it off.
It'll sting me.
It'll sting me.
God, go away.
So it'll be like, oh, all these humans are the same. It's gonna go into your beer.
Probably just added protein.
Oh God. Funny story. My stepdad. This was back in the 80s. And he, we had this. Holy shit. So we had this picnic table everybody would hang out at, right? 80s. Had the grill all afternoon. People would just drink beer, hang out. He goes and takes a sip of his beer, swallows a bee. The bee stings him in the throat.
Ooh.
As it's going down.
That's no fun.
He runs upstairs, ends up puking up everything, right?
Well, yeah.
Finds the bee. He actually that was the gross thing. He
dug through it.
Found it. Ends up in the ER because his whole throat swelled up and he couldn't breathe.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a bad day.
Yeah.
That's a very bad day.
But yeah. So then he got these. They started making these plastic caps that go over the can.
Yeah.
To keep things from getting in it. Apparently that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just take punch cup. Put that over top of your beer too. Like if you're at a place that's got punch or something,
Yeah.
You can take a red Solo cup. You can take any cup, any plastic cup, and put it over top of your beer if you wanted to.
Is that like a college thing?
That's a redneck thing.
Ah, sweet.
I don't know.
I think we're sticking with the theme here.
I mean, hey, I mean, my Jeep is parked right there. We can just show the viewers what my Jeep looks like.
Jesus Christ.
No, I take very, very much pride in my redneck. So I'll be the first one to say that.
All right, I'm gonna get this bad boy out. So this is a Joby. I picked this up in an estate sale a couple days ago. Cleaned it up. Got a let's see here, charcoal filter in there because there's a huge supply of those.
Oh, you actually use filters?
You know, I'm playing around with it just because I wondered if a charcoal filter would give me a better smoke. Actually, I might have to replace this. They're old. I have a feeling they're just gonna fall apart. So, yeah,
Probably.
yes. Go away. So I do have. I'm gonna save this for the rum flavored filters.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently Medico used to make these filters that were rum flavored. Now I don't know if that's supposed to enhance like other tobaccos, like maybe Prince Albert or stuff that doesn't really have a topping to it. I have no idea. And I don't think it's gonna.
This bee is really starting to.
It's pissing me off too. Yeah. Asshole.
Well, we have at least one tiny little cute viewer behind us.
Oh, yep.
His daughter is behind us right now.
No, bees on the box.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna try some of this haunted bookshop.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, oh god. Yeah, my week. The week hasn't been bad. I've just had my head up my ass the entire time. I don't know why.
Yeah, everybody has those weeks though. You just gotta push through it. It'll be fine. Next week will be better. That's how I've been. That's what I've been telling myself.
Yeah.
I've been working the last 28 years anyway.
Aren't you like 28?
Yeah.
You've been working since you were born?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That life.
That sucks.
Gotta be doing it, man.
Wow.
Grinding.
So you're like a child star, or were you in like some Chinese like labor camp?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Okay, haunted bookshop. Awesome note, like straight out of the bag. It smells really good.
It smells good. It
Yeah.
is kind of harsh, but it smells delicious. Tastes good. Just a little on the rough side, that's all, in my opinion. Got a drummer, too.
Mm-hmm. Girls making beats.
No, all you gotta do is just come down to the neighborhood. You'll listen to beats all night long.
Oh, no shit. Ah.
We can pick up your house and move it out to the country. I'd be all about it. That's a thing.
Well, it's not like I don't have the property now.
That's true. Yeah, speaking of property, I'm supposed to go up to Plainwell, check out a buddy of mine's just bought 11 acres up there. He wants me to go up there and see what it would be like for deer hunting. Because he values my opinion for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, that's what your girlfriend was asking. She's like, he bought all this land, and said, well, from my understanding, he wants Ben to go out there and figure out where the deer are at so he knows where to hunt. And she's like, he doesn't know how to do that when he bought 11 acres?
Well, from the sounds of it, I don't think he's ever been hunting before. So he kind of wants to learn.
It's kind of a big investment to like learn how to hunt.
Well, I mean, not necessarily though. I mean, because people can like to live in the country and have never hunted before. I mean, even if I've never hunted before, I still would like to own, a couple hundred acres. I think that'd be nice.
Right.
If I could ever afford it. But no, he wants me to go up there. I'm not sure. 2 reasons. 1, if I'm going to have the time. 2, I'm not sure my Jeep's going to make it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
My Jeep is... transmission's about to blow up. It needs an alignment. I've done a lot of damage to that. Oh.
So, what I'm hearing is you don't have first world problems, you have redneck problems.
I have... yeah. I mean, I have... I was actually thinking about that the other day. I don't necessarily have... The first world problems is crap. Sorry.
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
Yes. Because... and this is going to kind of tie into my next blog post, and I guess I can talk about it here too, whatever. Because I'll go into it in a little bit more detail in my blog post. But I was watching Meat Eater last night on Netflix.
Okay.
And Steve Rinella, he graduated from the exact same school that my fiance did. Reese Puffer up in the Muskegon area.
Okay.
That's what started me on him. But then when he started to talk about hunting and fishing and just the outdoor life and the experience, he can articulate it in ways that's just, I don't know, it's better than me. And great hunter too. And he seems like, I don't know him in person obviously, but he seems like he's just an all-around great guy. But anyways, he went to somewhere down in South America. I don't remember the country down there. But anyways.
Oh my God, there's 2.
He went I think it's Amber Indians. And these are westernized Indians. These are people that can speak English. They wear westernized clothes and all that stuff, but they still live.
You're talking Native Americans?
No, Native. Well, they live in the Amazon, so I mean they're not
okay.
Native Americans, but they're native to. I don't remember the country that he went to, but anyways, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and like there's the plant that they make their arrows from doesn't have some long Latin exciting exotic name to it. They call it the arrow plant. Like that's it. Like pacus. Do you know what pacus are? Like a really big piranha.
Okay.
Apparently they're like vegetarian piranha. They're part of the piranha family, but they're not as vicious. But they're bigger. They're like the size of a dinner plate. Well, they went bow fishing for him, and he was sitting there, and they were standing on the waterfalls, and they're seeing all these green plants growing off the side of the waterfall. And Steve, asked this guide. He was like, "So that's what the pacus eat, right?" Yeah. So what name is that? What plant do you call that? Pacu plant. Just simple. Just simplistic life.
Well, yeah, because it's about what the purpose of the plant is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what. I don't know. I find myself looking at this, and I'm like, you know what? They don't have to worry about. They have to worry about 3 things: food, water, shelter. That's it. I mean, and once you learn the skills and you acquire the knowledge of what you can eat and how to hunt and gather and all that, and how to build a shelter. I mean, you're pretty much set. You build a shelter next to the river. There's your water source. There's your shelter. Then you go hunting and fishing, get your food. That's it. The whole hunter-gatherers mentality, like the first world problems. Anybody that thinks, especially like here in the United States, people that can just, and I'll here in the United States only. The first world problems. Oh, my cell phone doesn't work. Do you have food? Probably. Do you have water? Or can you get water? Probably.
So is Flint a third world country then?
Flint has water.
Not drinkable water that won't kill you.
But you can get your own water, is what I'm saying. And the fact is, that right there, and I'm not trying to justify that happened well before the Governor Schneider, was in office. That happened a long time ago. Schneider didn't help the issue because he hasn't fixed it yet. But
they didn't find out about the problem. Well, no, because they switched the water source. That was when he was governor. And then they found out about the lead content of the water while he was governor.
I'm not trying to justify the fact that that he's not at fault. He is at fault, but I mean those water lines were put in well before he was governor.
Oh yeah. What do you think they're replacing in your neighborhood?
The lead water lines. That's why I don't drink the city water. I buy water, which probably isn't any better, but still, for cooking. And the only water,
I only drank that water for 10, 12 years.
Yeah, I don't drink that water.
Plus
I don't drink city water. I grew up on well water, so all the city water is disgusting. But no, like that right there, when you have to blame somebody else for your problems, you are living the wrong life, in my opinion. Like if I lived in Flint and you had that problem, you have two options. You can either pack up and move, or you can find your own water and figure out a way to filter it yourself.
I think the pack up and move thing is pretty naive.
Well, why?
So let's say you own your house.
Nobody owns their house.
In Flint?
Nobody owns their house.
Are you sure?
Nobody in this country owns their house.
Okay, now you're going back to the whole tax thing. But no, seriously. You're
okay.
like, your house is paid for. You've lived there for 30, 40 years, maybe more. Maybe it's a multi-generational thing, right? Then you find out, oh, the water's poisoned. So you're going to just walk away from a house that you own to go live somewhere else, and nobody's going to buy your house.
Is it an option?
For a lot of people, it's not an option.
But it can be, is what I'm saying. Like, if you hate where you live, you hate what you're doing, there's only one person that you can blame for that.
That's true. That goes to the whole
that with living in the States and all of that stuff, like the water that's being poisoned, like the water that's being pumped to your house is being poisoned. Okay.
Yeah, but there's an understanding that the people who are pumping the water to your house, which you pay for that service, is going to have regulations set up to make sure that nobody's getting poisoned. That
we're kind of getting off into the weeds a little. I think in going back to that original hunter-gatherers, outlook on things. If you went and you collected your own water from a river, you filtered it, you boiled it, you did whatever you had to do to drink it, and then come to find out that there was somebody upriver that was, dumping toxins into the river, then okay, yeah, it's not your fault. And
why are you blaming somebody else for your problems, dude?
What I'm getting at, though,
how is that different from?
Why are you expecting somebody else to pump water into your house?
Because I pay for it.
By law, you kind of have to. In this particular state, it's against the law to collect your own rainwater. Yes, it is federally. It is against the law to collect rainwater.
I don't know about that. Jamie, look it up.
Yeah, I wish we had somebody that. The last I heard, it was against the law for anybody to for anybody to collect rainwater.
It depends on the city. It depends.
You know,
on
you
the
read
state.
stories all the time of people that want to truly go 100% off the grid, and then they get sued by the city because they disconnect their city power line.
Yeah.
Well, if I want to live without power, I should be able to. If I don't want to pay anybody for power, and I want to live off the land, or if I want to install a wind turbine or solar panels in my house, and I want to collect rainwater and filter that through my house, I should be able to, and I shouldn't be penalized for it.
But see, that's where that's where you have that marriage between corporations and government, because the corporations step in and say, hey, they're collecting more electricity than they need. They should be adding that to the grid to help. And their argument is to help other people lower the cost of their
and that's
bills,
where
bullshit.
Now you're getting into the lobbyist thing, which I'm totally in agreement with, like the oil lobbyists and the tobacco lobbyists and all of these major big organizational entities that lobby for things. Yes, that's a problem. What?
You just talked against the tobacco lobbyists while smoking
tobacco. I'm not saying
no. Kidding.
No. Like, I'm totally against oil lobbyists. The only reason I use oil every day. This was made.
It really was the cigarette companies. Yeah.
Everything you touch was produced by petroleum in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
It was used in order to create this. The tool that made it was probably fueled by electricity or gas.
The stem is petroleum.
The stem itself is petroleum. So everything you touch has some sort of oil-based product in it.
And that is where I think our civilization is going to go down the tubes one day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that's where I have a problem with the oil lobbyists because, I mean, let's face it, the oil companies are pretty much our government. So people like Elon Musk and other future, great engineers and people that want the really intelligent people that are out there that maybe come up with a new way of powering our society. Say Elon Musk comes out with a battery that lasts 80 years.
Mm-hmm. Which he's almost done. Now he throws that into his car. More people buy his car. Now you have a battery-operated vehicle that you'll never have to put gas in that'll last 80 years. Well, he's making them for houses now.
And that's the other thing too. But the oil companies are obviously so ingrained, so enriched, and have way more money. They're shutting him down. They're delaying him from doing it with all these legal battles and legal lawsuits, and it's making it. Why? That's the opposite of a free country in that and evolution. I mean, I would be all about having a vehicle that had a battery in it that lasted 80 years, not for the whole global warming aspect, but
here's the weird thing. In this state, if you have a hybrid, you probably want to like scoot up or something. Mm-hmm. I didn't think about that.
Knock my head on it.
So in Michigan, when the hybrid cars started getting sold, there are two things that Snyder did. One, in the state of Michigan, you can only sell your vehicles through a dealership. They can't be bought directly from the company.
Exactly.
Which was directly against Tesla, because Tesla, you can only buy the cars directly from the company.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you own a hybrid, a fully electric car, and you're not buying as much gas as everyone else, $700 a year for registration.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not paying your gas tax.
And why do you think I have such a problem with taxes?
So what I want to know is, do the Amish have to pay $700 to get their buggies registered because they're not paying their gas tax?
No, because that's probably a religious thing, which is a double standard, in my opinion. Why doesn't the church pay taxes? Everybody else has to pay taxes. Why doesn't the church?
So if you're a Scientologist and you're like, this is part of my religion, you shouldn't have to pay that registration fee?
The Scientologists pay an assload just to the church.
Mm-hmm. But the church doesn't pay taxes.
No, the church doesn't pay taxes. That's what we do. Let's come up with our own religion. Let's create a religion that makes everybody free.
Well,
we're going to create a religion and call it freedom. And then make it so everybody that guy was still there, guys?
No, he's doing his turn signal.
Oh. Looked like he was giving him the...
No, I think it was like that.
Ah, okay. But anyways, you know, like, that was the whole premise. If, yes, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we found oil, and we realized what we can use it for. Awesome, great. We created this immense and powerful country with oil. Great. Now we have a new cat in town that shows up, and he's like, you know what? I think I can do something better. Let's do something better. Let's create a battery, or let's create a, I don't know, some other fuel source that doesn't require fracking or putting chemicals into the earth or going to these pristine areas of Alaska or out in the middle of the ocean and pumping out, billions of tons of this black tar liquid that could potentially destroy our environment. And let's come up with a cleaner way. And everybody's like, well, oil's been working so great for the past 150 years. Nah, there's no reason. Why not? And that's where I have a problem with lobbyists in general, but especially the oil lobbyists.
On a side note, now I understand why Matches is so mellow when he does his videos, because this stuff is
what is it?
I think I'm getting high.
What is it?
It's the Harn Bookshop.
Oh, you just haven't been a smoker as long.
And I've got a big old bowl on here.
Yeah, you do. You use your 50 cal?
Mm.
Press.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, you have a lot of the old Joe Krantz. I don't know any old Joe Krantz.
That's supposed to be another high nicotine blend right there.
Smells like it was made with some sort of alcohol.
Might have a topping on it.
Where'd you pick all this stuff up at?
I ordered it on smokingpipes.com just so I could do a long series of reviews. And
ooh, Voodoo Queen. Sounds like my fiance. I'm kidding. Love you, babe, if you're watching this.
We had 65 views on our last live feed.
That was horrible too. Not the views, just the podcast. I don't know. I liked it, but I don't know. I think I got too drunk.
Okay. Well, if you seriously want to do a podcast, one option we can do is put a microphone here because I have that Yeti.
There you go.
And have a laptop out here.
That should be our next thing that we do. And then we need to structure it a little bit better. Because right now we're just discussing, which I'm all right with, but come up with some topics.
Yeah.
Toppings. Mm. I'm going to try it. I'm unsure about this one.
Holy crap.
You all right?
Should be. I just need to drink more.
Smoking the green ganja, eh?
Oh my god. I can't. That's the thing. I feel like this is what pot smokers normally feel like. Is just getting a nice big buzz of nicotine, except it's something else.
You ever smoked pot?
Full disclosure, I have on a few occasions, and it's always the same scenario. I smoke it, people are like, yeah! 5 minutes later,
Oh.
And then all of a sudden there's the.
Oh, my mom turned into a total pothead. She called me not called me, she texted me the other day. She's like, oh my God, I got great news. Well, not great news, but I got news that I ate an edible.
Oh, God.
And I couldn't get off the couch. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good. My mom suffers from anxiety and depression really bad. And I think, as far as weed is concerned, I think that is the number one cure-all for those types of disorders. I mean, if you're in a depressed mood, or you're just kind of angst about something.
See, I would wake up depressed. That's the thing.
Really?
Because then I would have the feeling of I didn't accomplish anything in the last 5 or 6 hours. It knocked me out.
Well, I mean, you have to. For some people, when you smoke pot, yes. Like for me, I couldn't ever smoke pot and try to accomplish anything. I would never accomplish anything. But at the end of the day, you can sit and smoke a doobie or smoke a bowl or something like that. And,
if I was having trouble sleeping, and
if you're, how I look at it is, if instead of pumping your body full of these man-made chemical substances that some doctor tells you is okay for you, and you smoke a plant, and it can potentially give you your appetite back. It can make you happier. It can make you kind of I don't want to necessarily forget about your current problems, but it makes you kind of loosen up a little bit more about it. Then I would much rather do that than have to pump my body full of antidepressants or.
Yeah, you don't feel like murdering a bunch of people when you're on.
No, I mean, Michigan has it on the ballot in November, which, God, I hope it passes. And I won't be able to smoke it until after my.
It has like a 70% approval with voters, so
it should have more than that. I mean, I won't be able to smoke it until after I get out of the Army, but still.
Well, and here's the thing with, even if we vote on it, there's no guarantee that the state itself is going to legalize it, because they can always shoot it down, which pisses me off, because it's like, you represent the people. The people said, this is what we want to have happen, and yet
welcome to our current democracy.
We're also voting on the future governor. So here's the thing. If we don't get a Democrat as governor, there's a good chance, even though these Republicans, there's like 5 Republicans running for governor of Michigan. If one of those guys gets it, well, now there's just the one Republican, one Democrat. But all 5 of the Republicans were like, oh, well, if they vote on it and they pass it, then I'll sign it in the law. They say that now, but once they get into office, it's a whole different story.
Well, see, that's where we should get rid of the 2-party system.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit there and say, well, I'm a Democrat, but I'm like, because I would vote. I like I said in my last podcast here, I'm more of a right-leaning individual, but I'm all for legalization of weed, recreationally, medically, 100%. You should be able to go to the store and buy weed like you should be able to buy alcohol. Yeah, sure, there should be regulations on it, just like alcohol. You shouldn't drive on it. You shouldn't, people under the age of 18 probably shouldn't buy it, but you should be able to go to the store, and just like buying a pack of cigarettes or just like buying alcohol, you should just add weed to that. And like I said, I'm still on the right side of the political spectrum. These people, they're so adherent into their identity of whatever political group that they identify themselves with. It's downright sickening, because it's, what do the people want? What do the people want? The people of this state want weed legalized. Okay. Illegal.
Then there's still the federal law that bans it completely.
Which is bullshit. But the federal laws are always the last ones to change their mind. But that's why the federal government should never be as big as it is today. Ever. The federal government shouldn't have any influence on my life in any way, shape, or form while I sit in the state of Michigan. You know, outside of the fact so if I was dealing drugs like outside of state lines, okay, that's when the federal government needs to get involved, because now I'm crossing state boundaries, or if I'm crossing international boundaries, if I'm doing something in Canada that I shouldn't be doing, or whatever. Not admitting to anything because I'm not. But I've been to Canada once in my life. And that was for work training. Vancouver is a beautiful city, by the way. I almost said state for a minute.
I almost wanted, so when we went to the Upper Peninsula, I almost wanted to keep driving north just to see if it kept getting better. Because there's one thing that I noticed on the drive from Kalamazoo to Grand Rapids. Trash everywhere along the highway. If you're in this, there's just trash. Beer cans, wrappers, fucking plastic Walmart bags. All that crap.
Did you notice when you were up there? Because I went up there right before you. Did you notice was there any dead deer on the side of the road?
Yeah.
You ran into one.
Oh, we ran into a couple.
Really?
But not. Well, in the UP, we saw dead badgers, dead raccoons on the side of the road.
Badgers?
Badgers. We saw 2 badgers.
No shit.
Yeah. Because we're driving by, and I noticed the fur.
Sure they weren't possums?
These were huge. They were huge. They weren't bare.
And well, they have a completely different color.
Yeah. So I looked at the fur specifically, and Sarah was like, "What the heck was that?" You know, I'm looking over and see it go by, and like, pretty sure that was a badger. And then
black and white face.
Didn't see the face, just saw the fur. But they were not woodchucks. They weren't beavers. I mean, these were.
Huh.
Yeah. So, so I saw a couple of those dead, but yeah, not too much deer up there that were dead on the side of the road. But going north of Grand Rapids to the UP,
it's beautiful.
No garbage.
Beautiful.
None.
It turned, but because you have a different respect. There's a different level.
Now the property, the personal property of people, whole other story.
Well, because you get more into the rednecks side of things, you know, north of 10 mile or north of US 10. You know, you run into a lot of rednecks up there, but they, because like especially the UP, because there's just not really a whole lot of, there's no industry up there. So a lot of people have to live off the land or live closer to the land than what people.
Or they don't have garbage pickup because it's not
people
available.
in the south. But if they didn't have garbage pickup, then wouldn't you think that more garbage would be on the side of the road?
You would think, but
it's not.
The only garbage I saw was it was when we were actually.
But when you notice,
it was where the tourists go. So like when we went to.
Well, yeah, because you have people from down here that go up there and treat it the same way that they do down here.
Freaking beer cans by the waterfalls, and that was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That just really pissed me off.
People don't care. Oh, this isn't my responsibility. When it's technically everybody's responsibility.
Well, we pay for this park, so you gotta pay somebody to clean up after me.
Oh yeah. No, it's irritating. It's a total lack of respect, and that's one thing it's been lacking in this country for. It's just slowly been diminishing ever since I can remember. I mean, I'm young. I'm not even 30 yet, and the lack of respect is for just everything. I mean, I was at the gas station this morning, and this guy, this older gentleman too, he probably in his 50s, 60s. I mean, not old, but I mean, definitely knows better. The entire time talking to the teller was on his phone. Like, never once spoke a word to the teller. Really? Like, I don't know. That might just be a personal thing, but I find it to be the rudest thing on the planet. When you're on your phone and you're cashing out somewhere, set your phone down for 30 seconds. This is mean, but I just find that rude. No, it's all in the ideology that we have today in the U.S. You know, I can only speak for the U.S. I can only speak for Michigan, really. I haven't really gone out and traveled a whole lot. It's just the amount of respect that people have for one another and for the environment around them is just lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this city. I hate this city.
That was one of my first thoughts when we came back to Kalamazoo was I had trouble saying it out loud, but Sarah was like, "What's up?" And I said, "I don't really want to live here anymore."
No.
It wasn't even a desire to like, "Oh, I want to live in the UP."
We went up to Manistee, drove through that tiny little town, tiny little podunk town. But it was very quaint, and there wasn't anything special about it, and I loved it. I loved it for that. And we pulled into the gas station up there, and me and my fiance, the guy that was behind the counter, I can only assume he was probably the owner. Just knew everybody. Everybody that was coming in, hey Bob, how's the kids? You know, hey Jim, what's going on? You coming in for lunch? Or it was just very laid back. It was very easy going. I got my zip code wrong when I went to go pay at the pump. So the thing on the gas station,
yeah,
said, "Could please go in and see the teller."
Yeah.
So I walked in and told the guy, I'm screwed up and I got my zip code wrong. He's like, "Oh, just go fill it up and then come in and pay me."
Yeah, there's a lot of that up there.
You know, and I'm like, well, I'm not used to that. You know, nobody trusts people like that down here. Oh, you're going to drive off if I do that. If I activate your pump, you're just going to drive off.
There was a lot of gas stations I went to that didn't even have the card option. So I go in to pay, just say like, "Hey, I want to put 20 in." Just fill it up and come back in and pay what you put in.
Yeah. Just different level of trust up there. And
then I had to hunt down a penny in the car because, of course, I went over. And then I go inside and I go to hand the guy the penny, and he's like, "Eh."
Yeah. You know, it's just everybody up there that I ran into that was a youper that lived up there. They just whatever, like it's okay, no big deal. You know, where did that go? Where did that go? Like in places like here, in inner cities, where did that trust? I mean, you're stacked up on top of each other here. You know, there's row after row after row of houses here, and yet when you go to a public place, everybody's on their phones, or everybody's avoiding each other, and there's nobody. You know, there's no interactions. But you go up to a place that's, you know, that has in a city that has 2,000 people, and yeah, sure, everybody knows each other up there, fine, but everybody is just so much more relaxed up there. Everybody's just so much nicer.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you would think that the closer people live to each other, the more interaction you'd have, and therefore the nicer people would be, or you would think. In theory, that's how it works, but in practice, it's horrible. Look at all the inner cities. You know,
Well,
it bogs my mind as far as why that's like that.
when you have a higher population, so you live in a small town, you really don't have the opportunity for anybody to develop into like a predator type mindset. Like, you go downtown, how many people are like, "Hey man, you got $1? Hey man, you got any change on you?" And that's just one example. But when you live in a larger city, people who want to try to find an easy way out of their problems, well, they start looking at, well, the way this guy is dressed. I know he's got more money and stuff than me, so either I can swindle some money out of him, I can screw him out of some money, and how many people? There's not going to be a day where like everybody knows, well, that guy's a piece of crap, especially here because you constantly have an influx of students and new people moving here, and they don't know what the situation in the city is like, and it takes a while, but eventually they learn, like, oh, yeah, don't trust anybody, and if anybody's acting really nice to you, be suspicious because they're probably after something.
Mm-hmm. But we're all out here trying to do exactly the same thing. We just all have different ideas on how to do it. But we're all after. We're all trying to do what we can, you know, to get by. I mean,
some people don't want to try though. That's the thing, and they want other people to do it for them.
Well, those are just lazy pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I think it just that's why I've never liked the city. Never liked living in the city. I've always preferred to live in the country because where I come from, I grew up in a farming community, and so there's a lot of farmers around us, but we had 3 big names. Like everybody knew these names. So like if you were to come in and, oh yeah, my name is X. Everybody was like,
you're related to Bob?
You related to these people. Yep. Yeah, my dad has, this farm and this farm and this farm. My uncle has this farm, this farm, and this farm. We're like, oh, awesome. That's cool. So we knew who they were. And not that we treated them with any different respect or anything like that, but it was just like, oh, okay, so you're one of Jim Bob's girls. Yeah, okay. Or, one of Jim Bob's boys. Whatever.
I went to high school with him, and how's he doing?
Yeah, and it was just kind of one of those, like, everybody had that family name. Whereas, and of course, I moved in later. I didn't grow up with these people, so not a whole lot of. I didn't have a last name that was recognizable. But when I told them my stepdad's name, like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that family. You live over on, and then they'd give the address. Yep. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. I went to school with your dad's brother, or whatever.
Yeah. See, and that's the other thing is living in a small place like that. You knowing that they know where you're from, like, what's the odds that you can screw them?
Exactly. But you would think that living here, at least in the community, the small community, like in the city, like the streets, like,
oh, nobody knows each other.
Nobody knows each other.
Yeah.
I actually had a guy come up to me at your house.
Oh God.
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was actually really cool. This guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, I kind of figured you were a fisherman." My Jeep was parked out in the front there.
Yeah.
And I still had my canoe on it. He's like, "I don't know, you fish?" "Oh, I love fishing." He's like, "Well, I've caught a bucket full of fish." I flayed up a couple, but I was wondering if you wanted it. I'm like, what's the catch? And that was because I hate living in the city, but I've lived in the city for so long that I
How
know
much you want for it?
Yeah, that was the first thing that I was thinking of. I was like, oh, okay, so what do you want? And he's like, I just want my bucket back. I'm like, well, I'm on lunch right now, so I don't have time to take care of this. But when I get home, I'll clean them up and I'll bring the bucket over for you. No qualms, squirrels. I haven't talked to the guy since.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a simple gesture. Now I'm hoping that I could shoot a deer this year because I want to offer him some venison.
Yeah.
Just to kind of repay the favor. Like, it was awesome. And you don't get that in the city. Like, that's why, like, when he came over here and he just offered it to me, I'm okay, what's the catch? You don't get that here. You don't get that. You don't get that in inner city where we're from.
You can find it sometimes, like
yeah, if you've been friends with your neighbor for years.
No, like if you're living by like a small Mexican community, like a lot of times if they want extra money, the wife will cook up a bunch of tamales.
The tamale lady at your house, I have yet to buy any from her because she comes by at the absolute worst possible times. Yeah. Like, I feel bad because every time, like, I'm either working on my bike, or I'm just getting ready to leave, or I'm just got home, I changed my clothes, I don't have my wallet on me or anything like that, and I let the dog out or something like that. And she always just comes by at the worst possible moments. But then again, too, here's my inner city thinking. I'm like, so what's in these tamales? You just killed your pet dog, and you're just feeding the whole neighborhood your pet dog.
I'm okay with that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm in Muskegon. My damn phone, something. Oh, that was Lee. Lee is in Muskegon.
I read it.
Okay. This is the Sutliff Wild Cherry. It's pretty good. Is that still the Haunted Bookshop?
No, this is
Old Joe Krantz.
No, this is actually really good. I didn't do my little spiel yet. It is Voodoo Queen.
Oh, okay. I keep hearing about that one too. Ever since
and this one, honest, I didn't really like the first one. The first go round of it, but this one's tasting pretty good. Oh. Let's just burn it for a second. Taste better.
So when I first got onto YouTube, everybody was doing McClellan blends. Like, everybody was just smoking McClellan. So you had the Frogmorton series, you had a bunch of other blends that people were smoking. It's like the best thing you could get. Well, then McClellan decided to close their doors out of the blue, and everything disappeared online, like almost instantly. People were freaking out. Now, ever since then, I've noticed all these other blends are popping up that everybody's enjoying. It's almost like because McClellan and a few of the other companies closed within the last year or two, all these other ones are getting recognized finally.
Welcome to capitalism. I had to throw that in there. But no, like that's how it. But that's how it works, though. I mean, you have a big name that everybody sticks with, that gets their that has their die-hard loyal followers. But when they fail, or they come out with a bad product or something like that, it just gets better.
Yeah.
Who you?
Yeah.
Somebody turn it around.
Hate that. I want to get my baseball bat out and be like, "Why are you in my yard?"
Pull a Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood. be awesome.
City living, right there.
Well, that's country living too.
What? Get out of my yard.
Oh God, yeah. You wouldn't get out of my yard. You just get shot.
I saw signs up north that was like private drive, do not turn around.
Mm-hmm. When you get out into the country and you start, like where my fiance's parents live, yeah, no, you don't creep around on people's property. Like if you are accidentally trespassing on somebody's property, like even if you're out hunting, and you get turned around, you get lost or something like that, don't just randomly go knocking on people's doors up there. You will get shot, or you will get a shotgun in the face, at least.
So that happened.
Up there, they kind of take care of their own.
Wisconsin, there was a guy.
You talking about the guy that kept banging on their door because he was drunk?
No.
And tried breaking in.
No, this was a guy that was out hunting. I believe he was Vietnamese. I think he was from Vietnam. And
Vietnamese.
Yeah. So he's out hunting, and there's private land and public land, and he was on the public land. Well, he was out tracking deer, and at some point he wandered onto somebody's private property, and in the middle of the woods there weren't any signs posted or anything. So he's out by himself, and the family who owned the land, there's I think 6 or 7 of them. They come running out, some are riding 4-wheelers, and they surround the guy. And now you only have his, well, no, because I think there's 2 survivors. So
no, he was no. I know the story that you're talking about. The guy was hunting on their property, and he was hunting in one of their tree stands. But for some reason, he managed to take out a bunch of them. Other ones ran away. But no. That Vietnamese guy was totally at fault because he was hunting on their land. And he had a high-powered rifle.
But no, it was an AK-47.
And these guys went out. Yeah, high-powered rifle.
All right.
Whatever. And these guys went out to confront him, be like, "Hey, you're hunting on our land. You need to leave." And he started shooting at him.
Well,
took out a bunch of
their version of it.
That was proven. That was proven. It wasn't. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because he's in jail right now for it.
What they got him on was that 2 of them were shot in the back. Was one of the things that happened. And what he said happened was he went to leave, and as he was walking away, somebody shot at him. And that's when he turned around and opened fire.
I didn't hear that version of it.
Yeah.
I just heard the fact that he was in a tree stand on their property, and he opened fire and killed, 5 guys or something.
I think it'd be different if he just stayed up in the tree stand and then started shooting at him. But the fact that he got out of the tree stand, and to me, I think the position was important. Is that so they surround the guy, he gets out, he's walking away. If he's already walking away, what is the point of turning around and killing them? What is the point?
Well, and that's
especially when it's 1 against 6, and all 6 of them are armed.
Well, that's only for that particular individual to really determine, as far as if that is the case. If he did decide to climb out of the tree stand, walk away, and he got 20 yards away, and then decided to turn around and just shoot all these people. Okay, why did you do that? But if these guys decided to just start opening fire on him as he was walking away, and then he turned around and shot him, there's the other case.
I think it's almost more likely, because the family also said that they had problems with him before coming out of the property.
Yep. I know the story that you're talking about.
Yeah. So I just would not be surprised if one of them was like, I'll give him a warning shot and he'll never come back this time. In which case, he thinks he's being shot at. And you come from a country like Vietnam, and who knows when he immigrated over here, right?
Yeah.
Where you get shot at over there, you better damn well defend yourself because people disappeared by the millions.
Well, and that's when
over there.
That's when that falls on everybody's shoulders. First off, Vietnamese guy, if let's take all the information that we have as truth. If the family did have problems with this guy in the past, trespassing on their land, then it's the Vietnamese guy's fault. You shouldn't be trespassing on other people's property. First. Second, you never shoot at anybody. Unless they're shooting at you, unless your life is threatened, you never shoot at anybody.
The other thing that
and third, it's a failure on, again, this is where I'm gonna assume that the family called the authorities.
It was after the fact.
Well, and that's where it resides on the family. The family should have called the authorities and had a report saying, look, we have somebody trespassing on our property. This is the third time, whatever. This is the second time, whatever. So there's on record that this guy's been trespassing on their property, and then keep calling, because when these kinds of situations happen, you can't take matters into your own hands unless to that extent, unless your life is being threatened. Like if I own property, if I own hunting property or something like that, and I found somebody hunting on my land, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to kick them off. I'm not going to shoot at them. Yeah, sure, I might, depending on what time of the year it is. Well, even not depending on what time of the year, I would still walk in there with my gun.
Yeah.
Just as a safety net, and kind of get my point across as to, look, you're on my property, get off of it.
Yeah.
Now, if he shoots at me, I'm going to shoot back, but I'm never going to be the first one that instigates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other thing that they nailed him on was, let's see here. I don't know why that popped up.
Yeah, that's weird.
So the other thing that popped up was he switched his magazines, and he had 2 30-round mags, and he shot all 60 rounds.
Which right there is breaking the law. You're only supposed to have 5 rounds.
But what is legal in the state of Wisconsin? Because it's all different.
5 rounds.
Is it?
I think it's in the Midwest. I don't think. Well,
I think
actually,
it goes by the state.
It does go by the state, but I think it's pretty standard all across the board. You're only allowed 5 rounds in whatever rifle you're hunting with, and you have to. That's a serious no. At least in the state of Michigan, that's a serious no go.
Well, and they argued,
my 308. I've got 15 mags of 15 20-round mags. But I've only got 1 5-round mag. That 1 5-round mag is just for hunting.
Yeah.
That's my SHTF.
But can't you get like those plastic inserts or something that make it to where it's a 20-round?
Now that's where things get kind of finicky, because here in the state of Michigan there are regulations for that. I can take one of those 20-round mags and turn it into a 5-round.
Yeah.
But it's I have to follow particular guidelines. It's got to be permanently affixed. Like I can't just shove a plug into my mag and call it good. I have to actually weld it there.
Oh.
I have to permanently
alter the magazine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I don't know about any other state, but yes, I could take a 20-round mag and I could permanently alter it to fit only 5 rounds. But why then? If I have to do that, why don't I just buy a 5-round mag?
Right.
All I know is that I am not aware of any state outside of Alaska. Alaska might be different, but even then, I'm not sure that you're allowed to have more than 5 rounds of deer hunting. Now, if you're bird hunting, you're only allowed put a plug in your shotgun. But again, that as far as bird hunting and shotguns are concerned, that's I don't know. But I know for deer hunting, you're allowed 5, and I'm not sure how many other states are allowed any more than that. But most hunting rifles only hold 5 anyway.
I guess my argument is, if you don't want to get killed, don't shoot at somebody while they're walking away. You're not trying to.
Well, you shouldn't shoot at anybody while they're walking away, anyways. You know, period. I mean, if they're walking away and you're going to shoot them in the back, that's a coward's act. Again, I mean, I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna. I can't tell you.
Well, I think there's only a handful of people that know like what really happened there, and most of them are dead. And
I mean, obviously, in that particular instance, the Vietnamese guy was obviously in the wrong. If you had 2 30-round mags while you're out deer hunting, what are you doing? Are you that bad of a shot? Because I highly doubt he had 60 deer tags. So what are you going to do? You're just going to turn it on full auto and just mow down a whole herd of deer?
Full auto is illegal, so.
No, it's not.
Full auto? Yeah, it is.
You need a $200 tax stamp.
You can't buy new full auto machine guns.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
Bullshit.
No.
With a tax stamp, yes, you can. You have to be federally registered.
But they're
with a $200 tax stamp.
But they were manufactured before it was like, what, 82, something like that? There's that law that they put into place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't make new ones.
They don't make new ones. But the Kalashnikov, you can get a full auto Kalashnikov. Granted, it's going to cost you $200 for the tax stamp, and then it's going to cost you $15,000 for the gun itself. And yeah, the gun's going to be however old. But you can get your hands on a fully automatic saw. You can get your hands on a fully automatic anything. You need the money to do it. Yeah. Fully okay. You can buy a semi-automatic military grade saw, which is a 5.56 round. You can buy that right now, $6,000. I've looked at it. That's semi-automatic, belt-fed semi-automatic machine gun. It's not a machine gun, but it has everything that looks all the looks of a machine gun outside of it being a machine gun. But you can turn right around and buy that, and fully automatic. But it's going to cost you a ton of money. Like, tons of money. That's why, like, yeah, sure, I would love to have the gun that I was the gunner for, oh my God, why, brain fart.
Browning or?
No, I was never a 50 gunner. 240. I was a 240 gunner.
Yeah.
And I would love to have one of those. They're just a fun gun to shoot. They shoot a 308. Yeah, you can buy a 240 fully automatic machine gun for like $45,000.
Mm-hmm.
Plus $200 tax stamp that you have to send in all of. But then at that point, then you're on a federal registration, and you have to notify the federal government every time you move. So that's where I wouldn't be okay with that anyways, because then your name's on a list. But yeah, I mean, and not to mention too is, unless you have buckets of cash, there's no reason to own a fully automatic. Like, well, I mean, yeah, I would love to own one just to say I own one, but what am I ever going to use it for?
What's the point of full auto anyways? Because it's not accurate.
Because it's fun.
It's a waste of ammo.
Who cares? It's fun. Like that's the whole point. Like, I mean, everybody talks about, well, the whole AR-15 thing, you know. Nobody needs an AR-15. It's not about need. It's about want.
That's not true too, because ranchers, that's like one of the best guns you can get for like clearing out prairie dogs.
Well, not necessarily. You can get a lever action. Lever action 30-30 will do the same job.
True, but I mean,
they make them in 45s too. I think the lever action 30-30s.
We're talking small game.
Yeah, the lever action 30-30s you can get chambered in 30. I think it's 30-30 or 45 Colt.
And that's not for small game. A 223.
Neither is a 223.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's our main. It's our main. It's our main round for our military. It takes down 200-pound people. What's small game to you? Is deer considered small game? Is a white-tailed deer considered small game?
No,
because it's a deer rifle.
Right, but in that case, you want something more accurate, like a bolt action 223. But like for prairie dogs, it's a small enough bullet, has a long range, and you can get a nice headshot on a prairie dog. There's a ton of people on YouTube that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you can't, but you can use a 50 cal on a prairie dog too.
Why would you?
If you're just using them to clear them out.
You're looking at range, affordability.
No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm pointing out the facts that, like, I mean, if you want to clear out prairie dog, 22 will do just fine. 22 rimfire will do just fine.
True.
You don't need
but it also doesn't have the range of a 223. So
yeah, it does. A 22 long rifle or a 22 Magnum can go a mile. How much range are you talking about? If you're shooting prairie dogs at a couple 100 yards, I promise you that a Ruger 1022 can touch off just as far as your 223 can. And that's even cheaper. Yeah. I mean, now accessibility on the other hand. I mean, the 22s are getting a little bit better. But.
Oh, yeah. I can go out and get a brick now at Meyer if I want to.
Yeah, but they've got so much more expensive. Ammo is insane. Mm-hmm. Like I remember when I was a kid, you'd go to Myers, you'd buy a box of 500 Remingtons for like $6. Mm-hmm. You could shoot squirrels and rabbits all day long. Nowadays, that same box at Meyer is going to cost you $30.
Yeah. I still have to clean up that bolt action 22.
Yeah, you do, because we need to go do some squirrel hunting, man. I want to bring my recurve out and try it this year. I don't know.
I think my weekends are pretty booked already. We got to get a new roof on her dad's house.
Oh, really?
Sucks. Before winter. Yeah. And, yeah, that has been... it's been turning into a whole ordeal with just trying to... We know the things that we need to get done with it, especially before winter. Because nobody's going to be staying there in the winter. So we've got to, like, take care of the pipes and plumbing and all that stuff and get that ready. And then there's the issue with the roof. And there's a lot of outside work that it needs.
Where do you... my future in-laws just put a Amish-made steel roof on.
See, that's awesome. That's kind of the direction I want to go, but
it's a little on the pricey side, but it'll last you so much longer.
But at the same time, the house itself, like really, there's
any good hunting on?
Could I mean I don't know
how much property's on it.
It's a good, like, I would say the yard itself, it does go back into the woods, but the yard itself has got to be like 3-4 acres or more.
You need at least 5 in the state of Michigan.
There's probably 5. I'm saying with the woods in the back, and
but 5 is bare minimum. And that's enough for maybe one person.
Her dad has he shot stuff on the property over the years. He also had a back crossbow.
Another sign of a redneck. If you shoot a deer out of your sliding glass window with a crossbow, you might be a redneck.
Yeah, he had.
Oh no, my lighter might be dead. You got a lighter?
Yeah.
Just a lighter.
But no, they had the 22. They had and there's deer on that property all the time. Like you just wait for nightfall and they start popping out of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I want to go. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way in the back of the woods tonight.
On that property, or you talking about Redneck?
Redneck. You know, I just read that property is like around 2,800 acres.
Holy shit. So her dad's property, it's like that feeder field when you first come out. If you're in the parking lot and you take that
tall grass.
No, you take that trail to the left that winds through the field that goes towards the swamp, and then that circular trail through the hardwoods. That first field, that's about the size of her dad's place. And I spent almost 6 hours mowing that damn thing like 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Yeah, I got another friend of mine that's hunting that. I don't know if I'm gonna steal his spot tonight. If I see his car there, I won't. I don't know. I'm gonna go try a new spot.
Out at Redneck?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to hike all the way in the back of the woods.
I think the two best spots out there that I've noticed are that area by the parking lot, because all the deer seem to go through that area to get back to that swamp.
The swamp.
Yeah, and then back where you dragged that buck out a couple years back.
All right, so here's the story. Because we've been talking about our own personal stuff for a while. I got to tell you guys a story. For all the hunters out there. About, I don't know, what was that? 4 years ago now?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Just before pre-rut. He tells me, he was out squirrel hunting one night. He tells me, hey, I just saw a beautiful, huge buck. I'm like, well, all right. I gotta see it. So I hike back on the state land that we hunt. What did we measure that out at as far as walking goes? Like just under 3 miles?
2 or 3 miles, somewhere in there.
Anyways, so I hike all the way back.
Fuck off, it's my wine. Mine.
I hike back there on a Friday night. I hike back there on a Friday night. I set up my tree stand, get it all set up. I go back out there Saturday morning, and I just have a climber. So I hunt out there Saturday morning, and I don't see anything. So I move my tree stand in the afternoon, closer to the swamp, and I'm set up on a ridge overlooking the swampland. Pristine area. Well, I'd been sweating. It's been a hot day, and I wore too much clothes.
You're out there from morning till sunset.
Yeah, I hunted all day, and I don't know, about 5 minutes to dark, to where you couldn't see the pins on my bow anymore. I was cold because it had gotten cold and I'd been sweating, so I was starting to shake. Like, I'm tired. I'm sick of this. I haven't seen anything all day. Nothing's moving. So I reach over and I grab my rope to tie my bow on. So I got about 2-3 feet of rope in my tree stand. I hear something. I turn around, and here comes this buck. He came out of nowhere. I have no idea where he came from. At about 30 yards, and nose down, tail up, looking for does, and comes in wrong side. Comes in off of my right side. I'm a right-handed shooter, so I have no shot. I drop the rope, grab my bow, stand up, and turn around. By this time, I saw him at 30 yards. He had come to probably 20. And I pull my bow back, and he's still going. So I whistle at him, and he stops. And he stops right at the V of this tree. I can't see his head. I can't see his rump. All I can see is the boiler room. All I can see is the vitals. Man, that's right before dark. I mean, I could just barely see my pin. And I'm like, I can see it. It's there. I'm doing it. So I let the arrow fly. Right. I see the arrow smack, and it's perfect. I couldn't get much better of a shot. So I'm freaking. I'm jumping up and down. This biggest buck I've ever shot in my life. And he takes off like a bat out of hell. Wait. So climb down my tree stand. I start looking for blood. Can't find anything. He came this way. I know he came this way. So I call this guy. I'm like, hey, that buck that you told me about, I think I just shot it.
And I was still was that work?
No, I think you were at home that night.
Yeah.
So he ends up coming out. I go meet him in the parking lot. Pretty much, I didn't bring my
Keep
tree
in
stand.
mind, it's like a 2-3 mile hike.
Yeah.
To the parking lot.
So I walked back to get him. Walked back out there. We tracked that deer. He finally found blood.
Well, we get out there, and my question is, so where was your tree stand? He's like, oh, it's right over here. So I'm looking around.
No, my tree stand was still hung up.
Yeah, no, you had it at the base of the tree.
Yeah.
You left it down.
Yeah, and I couldn't find it.
Couldn't find it.
That's right.
So then you're freaking out. You're like, who the fuck stole my tree stand?
Yeah.
It's already dark out. Did somebody leave the woods that I didn't know about? And
yes, that's right. Because I thought somebody stole my tree stand.
So about 100 yards away from where he thought his tree stand was, I find the tree stand. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, from here, where was the buck? Oh, it's right over there. So we go looking at that spot. It's on the ridge. So the deer is at the top of this ridge that goes down into the swamp area.
Yep.
And I asked you, so where did it run? Oh, it ran down here. Well, for some reason, you kept looking around up on the ridge.
Well, because I was looking for blood. I was looking for any sign at all. And not to mention, too, is I was also looking for my arrow. Because I knew that where I
had
shot
that
him,
flashing.
Yeah, I had a nocturnal knock on. So I'm like, I don't understand that. I saw the red dot hit. And then I saw the red dot take off. And then I saw the red dot fall. But I can't find the red dot anywhere. And for those of you that don't hunt, or that don't bow hunt at least, nocturnal knock, as soon as you release, it lights the knock, so you can see where your arrow goes, and it's easier to find your arrow. And so anyway, I'm geeked, but I'm thinking, I'm way overthinking all of this, and so I'm up on the ridge, and I'm trying to look over the swamp to see if I see any sort of red light. And mind you, he's 100 yards into the swamp, or off. He's not into the swamp. He goes down the hill into this valley right before the swamp, and he's off to my left. And I see his light, and then finally I hear him yell, "Ah, hey, I found blood!" So I'm like, all right, screw my arrow. I don't care about that anymore. I can buy more arrows. So I go hauling ass up to him, and sure enough, it's great looking lung blood. all right, cool.
Nice trail, yeah.
And then we find the trail and we start following, and it's crisp, it's clean, and we followed it for probably 80 yards maybe.
And then it goes right.
And he was following the swamp, and it was standing water swamp. So I'm like, okay, I hope to God that this deer decided to make a right back up the hill. Because if he makes a left into this thick, nasty, standing water swamp, I'm screwed. Well, anyways, just my luck, the trail decides to take a left, and it goes right into the swamp. Neither one of us were prepared for that.
Yeah, neither one of us were dressed to go into anything like that.
No. And by this time, it was midnight.
It was supposed to get in the 30s that night, too.
Yep. And so I hop on my phone. I check the weather. And I mean, already at that time, it had been probably low 50s, high 40s, probably. So I mean, enough. It was cold enough to leave a deer overnight. I wasn't worried about the meat spoiling. But I checked the weather, and it was actually we had a frost warning. So I was like, beautiful. That's what I'm looking for. Now the only thing I got to worry about is making sure that the coyotes don't get to it. But by that time, it was midnight. I'm like, man, he's got to work in the morning. I was like, well, I'll just get up early, and instead of hunting Sunday morning, I'm just going to go out and just keep tracking this deer. So I grabbed my bow. First thing, so I couldn't sleep. I was too wired. I slept probably 2 hours that night. I woke up right at first light, probably 7 o'clock, and head off to the woods. I go straight back to that spot. Right where it walked in, I grabbed my muck boots and walk into the water. I get about 10 feet into the water, and looking around, I'm like, I'm just going to have to do zigzags through this swamp and just hope I come across something. Well, I walked about another 30, 40 feet, and there he was, piled up. I mean, we could see, if it was daytime, we could have seen the horns sticking up, or the antlers. I call them horns. I know they're not horns, but I saw the antlers sitting up on this tiny little plot of land that was in the swamp. Yeah, 50 feet from where me and him stopped. So I'm like, sweet, all right, we got him. So I sent a picture to him, take a video, and drag him over to out of the swamp. I get him onto some dry ground and clean him up. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, well, let's start dragging him. Well, that buck was probably 5-6 years old, healthy. I mean, he was an 8-point that probably dressed out about 180 pounds, 200 pounds ish.
That was a long night.
Well, needless to say, I needed to get him back. So I drug him out of the swamp, out of that area. I got him onto the main 2 track, which that was probably a good mile drag right there. Mind you, I got him dressed out at 10:30, 11. I got to the main 2 track 1, 2 o'clock. God. Finally, I can't do it anymore. I was like, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap him in a tarp. I'm going to get him as small as I possibly can. I'm going to wrap him into a tarp. And then I'm going to finagle this harness out of my tree stand straps and rope. And that's what I did. And it worked for about another mile, 3/4 of a mile, until I hit the hill. And it's not, walking up the hill without anything it's not bad, average hill, but when you have 200 pounds of dead weight dragging behind you, that hill is a mountain. And
for our current viewers, we're talking about a deer, not somebody that pissed him off.
No, No, yeah. Rewind it. Yeah, sorry. But so I managed the gumption to get him up the hill. I got him up the hill. I couldn't do it anymore. That by that time, that was probably 2 miles. So I call this guy, and I'm like, I'm spent. I can't do it anymore.
So that was at like 2:30, and I got out at 3:30.
Yeah. So I sat there, and I kept trying, but it was I'm gonna get him 2 miles, or I'm sorry, I'm gonna get him 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet, and I was taking a break. You know, I drag him a little bit, take a half-hour break, drag him another couple of feet, take another break, and finally he shows up. He was still working at the hospital at the time, so he shows up in his scrubs and grabs a hold of the rope. And I don't even know. I had a rope too. I didn't help at all. I don't know why I even tried. I should have.
Well, we had to. I remember there was a couple of trees that had fallen over the trail,
and we had to get him over that too. And I was so spent. I couldn't even lift him up to get him in my Jeep anymore. When we finally got him back, mind you, by that time it was what?
Well,
4.
you can't skip
30?
the most redneck part of the story. We get him in the back of the Jeep.
Oh, then I hang his head out.
You hang the head out of the back of the Jeep so that everybody driving behind him can see that there's a dead deer, tongue sticking out of the side, staring at them.
Oh, yeah.
At the stoplight.
Heck yeah.
And then he says, "Hey, we're going downtown. We're going to have a couple beers at Tibbs, and we're going to leave that deer in the back of my Jeep so everybody downtown can see that I have a dead deer in the back of my Jeep."
Heck yes. And that's exactly what we did. So we went, had a couple of beers. This whole time, mind you, downtown Kalamazoo is probably the most
Pretentious,
liberal, pretentious city I've ever lived in. And here's an 8-point with a head hanging out the back of my Jeep.
I don't understand why you have to kill a deer, because you can go to the store and get meat out of a package.
Well, yeah, that's dumb. So we have a couple of beers. We had technical difficulties. Battery died.
Remember how I started this whole thing out saying that my week has been shit? And yeah, turns out the extension cord going to my phone, keeping the battery and everything on, was not plugged in this entire time.
Hey, you know what, man? Shit happens. So apologies. But anyways, getting back to my story. So leaving off, shot an 8-point about 3 miles away. Couldn't drag it anymore. Called this guy.
Well, we got to the part where we were at the bar.
Yeah, I'm just recapping. He drug it the rest of the way. We went to the bar, had a couple of beers. Everybody was all like giving us crap for it. And anyways, so then we get back to my house because I asked him while we were at the bar. I'm like, "So you want to help me clean this thing?" And you know, you help me drag it. If you help me clean it, I'll give you some meat off of it. And he was like, "Well, yeah, sure, I wouldn't mind it." Well, I hadn't drinking any water that day either. I've been so determined to get this thing, you know, back to the house. So we get back to my place. We start cleaning it. About a half an hour in, my hand starts cramping, like to the point where it's hurting. I couldn't even hold the knife anymore. So he ends up pretty much cleaning this thing for me. I'm just walking him through how to do it. Like, yeah, cut here, cut here.
You gotta pull the skin here.
Yeah.
You cut that.
Yeah. And so I ended up giving him a neck roast. And, I mean, it was just, there's really no point to that story aside from the fact that it was a pain in the ass to drag that freaking deer all the way there.
Your fiance was asking if that was the reason why you took your dad's deer cart.
Yes. The very next year I shot a doe, but that was only about a half a mile drag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done dragging deer. Done. I'll buy a kid's sled at Meijer or Walmart before I do that.
That's where I have a new respect for like those older mobster movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, those guys dragging that. That dude pissed them off when they're willing to put the work in, dragging some fat ass 250-pound douchebag out into the woods, digging a hole. That's a whole nother thing.
Yes.
Freaking digging big ass holes.
It's counting down. Why is it counting down? Negative 522.27?
Maybe it's just going by like what's allowed or something. So according to this, we could do this for like 522 hours.
I don't have that much time, man. Sorry. I wish I did. That'd be great. When's the ferry gonna just drop $100 billion on us and just call it a day? Because then I'd podcast all day, every day. I'd podcast my whole life. Because then I'd actually be able to do things interesting that you folks would want to see. Right now, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't want to see me sitting behind a cubicle for 8 hours a day. And then going home, having a couple beers and watching TV.
The weird thing is those hunting shows, like, Meat Eater? Is that one that you bought?
I love Meat Eater.
Well, there's one that I haven't seen it. They were talking about it on Joe Rogan where this guy...
Uncharted or Solo Hunter?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's the one... Apparently there's this episode where the guy got a license to hunt a bear. And they go out, and I think they spent like 3 days like trying to find a good spot. They get this spot. A bear comes in the sight. The guy goes to shoot it, and then he for some weird reason, he just didn't feel right or something.
That's Steve Rinella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I can't. It's I don't know, something's not right.
Steve Rinella has openly admitted he's gone grizzly bear hunting up in Alaska, and he was like, I have a problem. He has a confliction between shooting a bear and watching bear.
Mm-hmm.
And he's openly admitted that. But he has shot black bears.
He shot them before, yeah.
He shot black bears. I mean, there's a big difference between shooting a black bear and shooting a grizzly. I don't know. I find the two. I find them just as majestic, yes, but there's just a difference. It's kind of difficult to explain. I've never seen a bear in the wild, so I mean, I've certainly never gone bear hunting. But there has been times for me for whitetail hunting where I've actually been at full draw on a whitetail, and it's just been it was that particular moment where just like everything's perfect. And there's no reason to disrupt that with shooting this animals. I've let does walk 20 yards for me, and it's just too perfect. It's just, you have a half a dozen deer that are all within 20 yards of you, and one of them gives you the perfect shot, and you're at full draw on one, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need to pull that trigger right now. I don't need to. I've been there. So I completely understand where he's coming from in that aspect of it. But he's actually gotten tuberculosis from bear.
Ooh.
But also come to find out, I didn't know this, but almost all black bears have tuberculosis.
Is that just a matter of not cooking the meat thoroughly?
You have to cook bear meat to like 200 degrees, 250 degrees, something like that, in order to kill all the worms. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
which is kind of an interesting little tidbit.
Tuberculosis is not a worm.
Or not tuberculosis.
It's gotten worms.
Yeah, it's gotten worms,
Yeah.
but it's a key word. All right. That's bugging me.
Tapeworm?
Not tapeworm.
Oh, man. Yeah, I honestly think that this is going to be another year where hunting is just not in my scheduling book.
Trichinosis.
Trichinosis.
Trichinosis, not tuberculosis. I was close.
In name, definitely not.
In name, that's. But I'm not. I'm not a biologist or some disease expert. I don't know. But yeah, mostly all bears have trichinosis. But you have. I mean, you have an excuse. I mean, you have a baby girl that's a year and a half old, so that's a little different. And not to mention too is I mean have you been doing any writing? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm actually supposed to meet Steve tomorrow, and we're going to trade some papers and give each other some feedback.
Okay. He's got a lot of books.
Self plug.
His yeah, I'm gonna plug his books on his YouTube channel because they're amazing. End of the World series, the series
After the Day.
After the Day,
or the Future Collapse series.
Which, yeah, that one's probably better because get them all. Because
I'd rather talk about what I'm currently working on. But
well, you can talk about what you're currently working on because I don't know that. However, I do know that After the Day or the Collapse series that he has, if you just look up the Collapse series on Amazon, check it out. They're amazing. I read all of them. I love them, and I'm not a huge reader. I like to write, but I'm not a huge reader. And I have them all. I read them all. They're great. So, anyways, what are you currently working
on? So I'm in the middle of a book called Gray Nation. That's just the working title. It may change. It has to do with the Yellowstone supervolcano erupting.
Another like end of the world, post-apocalyptic type.
Yeah,
series?
But I mean, an event like that, it'd be catastrophic worldwide, but it wouldn't be like end of the world eventually. Scientists know that it'd be like a 5-10 year time period where things would
but the end is in sight.
But the United States itself, we'd be screwed.
There wouldn't be a United States.
No, and that's
kind of, there wouldn't be a North America anymore. According to scientific studies.
So unfortunately, the other night I was writing that book, and I say unfortunately because I was thinking I have several books in mind, and this is the one I chose to work on first because it was the one I felt like I had more in my head at the moment, and I got stuck at one point, so I started working on a couple of other scenes in the book. Got towards what is currently the ending, and then I realized these are the same characters that I had planned for this other book. Which, after 2 minutes of thinking about it, I was like, that other book is the first book. And this is book 2. And then book 3, I realized it's like one of the other books I was looking at doing is going to end up being the third book. So I think overall what's going to happen is I'm going to write all 3 of them before any of them are published. And then when I have all 3 of them written is when I start editing, putting them together, and I'll put the first book out. Second book will already be written. I just have to edit, do all that. Actually, it'll make it, when the first book comes out, it'll be fast-paced to where book 1 is out, and then a few months later, book 2 should come out, and then...
And, that's kind of why I think... Sorry to cut you off. So, I'm sorry, continue. That was rude.
No, I was pretty much done.
Were you? Okay, good. Because I have a couple of semi-books that I started really writing heavily a couple of years ago, and then I don't know, I got busy I got busy / lazy with it, and I've been really thinking about getting back into it. But I'm maybe kind of either I'm thinking about starting maybe another like blog, like kind of like a branch off of my current blog, and kind of maybe posting like one chapter a week on it.
Hey, just keep it on your normal blog. Why have everybody going to different places when?
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, that is one thing too, is thoughts of the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And just about all of my thoughts that I have about you know the writings that I have done, almost all of them have been thought. They may not be about the outdoors, but they were all thought of while I was outdoors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's that most all writers. Okay, so a lot of my actual writing, aside from sitting in front of the typewriter and put it on paper, but all those thoughts came while I was at work doing some mindless job of running some machine.
Well, I edited. What was it? Your third book in the collab series? Or not edited, but I helped you edit. You sent me the book, and then you added. I think so.
Where you were like, dude, you fucking killed me. What the hell?
Yes. Yeah, but you killed me in the best way, though. That was great. I loved that. Like, I was upset that you killed me, but if I had to die, I'd want to go out that way.
Well, I had to.
I'm not going to give you any spoilers, so
I had to have a reason.
You want it.
So
go to Amazon.
There were certain things that I wanted to have happen. I was like, well, I need to kind of give like a personal. It can't just be like good guys versus bad guys. It's like, let's make some of this shit personal. And I already killed off like one of the other characters early on, which that poor bastard, like everyone else in that scene, didn't really have a chance. Basically, they're getting strafed by MiGs. After
I remember that. I was very upset and disappointed with that one too. But then you killed me off like right after that.
Yeah, that was a fast-paced book. I really enjoyed writing that one.
That was probably my favorite book out of all of them.
I still want to do a sequel with what's her name, Sophie, the woman who learned to be a sniper from those guys. The only problem is I keep picking these settings of places that I'm not familiar with.
You know, and that's one other thing too, and I'll ask you guys as well, is because I don't know, like, writing a book is hard. It's difficult. It's not easy. And I know that just out of the one rough draft that I've written off of both of my books, which they're not even completed yet. But
see, the rough draft is supposed to be the fun part.
The rough draft is supposed to be the fun part, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but it's a lot of work. Fun. It's hard to write a book, and I don't know. I've always wanted to kind of be a published writer. Kind of always been like. I was actually just thinking about that the other day. I really fell in love with. We had a creative writing class in like 4th grade, and I kind of just mashed up all of my favorite stories at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little bit of Star Wars, and a little bit of Indiana Jones.
I knew you were going to say Indiana Jones for some reason.
Oh, Indiana Jones has always been...
Because it doesn't fit in the whole Star Wars scenario, but at the same time, it's like...
You could throw that... You could, like, if you were creative, you could do it.
Was Han Solo really just a sci-fi indie? Is that what we're coming down to?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
Indie shot first?
No, I don't... this was so long ago, I don't even really remember the story, but I remember the feeling I had. And that's the funny part too. Like, same thing goes for hunting, same thing goes for fishing. Like, I can't really remember the size of the deer that I killed, but I remember the feeling I had. Mm-hmm. 4th grade, I remember the feeling I had of writing that story, and it was a a 5 grade, yeah, good tutorial wise. But I remember the feeling I had after I finished it. I'm like, that was fun. So I can probably say like, yeah, I had the same dreams of wanting to be an astronaut or wanting to be a cop or a firefighter or anything like that. But I think the first thing that I ever really wanted to be was an author. But then I kind of talked myself out of it because it's like, how many authors are out there versus how many authors actually make their living off of writing? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those like.
No, most of them don't. It's like extra income.
Well, exactly, and that's where like to become Stephen King or the Hemingways or you either have to be incredible or you have to be like Dean Koontz and just put out 10,000 books a year.
Oh God. Well, and even Hemingway, he took a lot of work. People don't remember this about him, but World War II, like he really didn't put out much. He didn't put out very many books. Several year time, he was doing articles for, God, what magazine was it? He was a war correspondent.
Yeah.
And he also
because he didn't serve, but he was over there.
He did serve.
Did he serve?
World War I.
Well, yeah. I'm talking World War II.
And well, depending on how you look at it, there's a funny story about Hemingway. So, because he was a celebrity in his lifetime, which most authors also don't experience, he was over there as a correspondent, but then he also, like, he couldn't, with his experience in the past, he couldn't just sit back and watch other people doing stuff and write about it. So at one point, he actually did it. So at one point, he got frustrated, and he had like his own group of guys. Things weren't really that well organized in World War II, so he ended up with like his own group of guys that were hanging out with him, and during the 20s, he spent several years living in Paris, and as that Lost Generation group of artists that lived in several years because it was actually cheaper than living in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And so he had this fondness and love of Paris, and he was getting pissed off because it was taking forever for our guys to get into Paris and liberate it. So he got this group of guys together, and he was like, "Who wants to go to Paris?" And all these guys were like, "Fuck yeah, I'll go with Hemingway to Paris. I'll kill some Nazis along the way." So they get in these vehicles. They drive straight into Paris. No Nazis. All these people start coming out and like, "Hey, it's Americans." And Hemingway goes right to the hotel where he spent several nights drinking and partying back in the day. And he goes in, and him and the guys are like, "Hey, I guess we just liberated Paris." and to show their gratitude, everyone's like feeding them. They're getting drunk every night. And about a week later, the army rolls in. Nobody's there to greet them because they're like, "You guys are late. You guys already like saved us." Mm-hmm. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And they find Hemingway and the rest of the guys hotel. At that point, the mayor of Paris, or whatever the equivalent title is, gave Hemingway the key to the city and personally congratulated him. "Thank you for saving us from the Nazis." And so Hemingway.
Hemingway was a badass. Like, I mean, and that's the other thing too. Is like the classical writers, the writers that everybody can think of.
Their life stories were just
they went crazy. Who was the guy? Johnny Depp's character. Oh, you played him for Halloween. Thompson. Yes. Like look at him. He traveled the country and did every drug imaginable just so he could write a book about You know, that was that. I mean, I don't know. That kind of lifestyle that would never. I could never do that. But I mean,
these days you never get away with it.
Well, I mean, you could. You'd have to be more careful, obviously. But I wouldn't want to do that anyways, just because.
He had a horrible time trying to make a living as a writer because he wrote Loathing. I'm one of those crazy guys that actually read the majority of his books along with his collections of letters that he wrote to people.
Okay.
So, like, the Rum Diary was a project. He wrote that thing several times over. And publishers were just like, nope, you're a crazy writer and nobody wants to read your fiction. Mm-hmm. Like, this is getting shelved. And it was optioned and plugged to be published a couple times, but for some reason they just never ended up going through with it. And it was discovered later when they were putting his letters together. They're like, what is this Rum Diary that you are constantly writing about? He's like, oh, it's garbage. Nobody wanted to print it. Can we look at it now? Nobody knew who you were back then.
Yeah.
And as for Fear and Loathing, that was, he got a contract to do a book on the death of the American dream. And he had been working on it, and he was already paid for it, but he had no product to give to the publisher. So then he got this gig with Rolling Stone. He was a huge pain in the ass, constantly turning stuff in late. The one segment of the book where they said, well, he didn't turn anything in, but he sent us these tapes. So in order to publish something, all they did was write down the dialogue on these tapes. And there's that section of the book where it's him and the lawyer driving down the highway, and they're like, 5 tacos for $1? That sounds like the American dream. And they go into this taco stand and they're like, can you point us in the direction of the American dream? And the woman's like, oh, the American dream. Hey, Frank, where's the American dream? Isn't it that place that closed down the highway about 3 miles? Yeah, that's where the American dream's at. So you had this series of articles that were published in Rolling Stone, and that's when the publisher, who had already paid him for this book, was like, can we get the rights for this, publish this as your book on the death of the American dream? And that was, he got out of a contract of a book he no longer wanted to write.
Yeah. But it's just, like, I don't know. I mean, it's just, the classical writer, Chris Thompson, shot at his neighbors for crying out loud.
You have to be crazy in some respect to willingly sit down for hours working on something, not knowing if it's good or not.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of hold back, is because, like, I'll sit there and be like, well, I think this is great.
Never think that when you first write it.
Well, no, but like, okay, not like the book in its entirety, but I remember specifically sitting down and writing parts of my book it's not published. It's still in its rough draft. It's not even completed yet. So yeah, don't look for it. But I remember writing parts of it, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. Like, this scene, the way that I set this up is amazing. But then there's other parts of it where it's like, this sucks. Mm-hmm. This can't be the way that it is. So then you start thinking about other ways, and then it's like, no, it's just a rough draft.
Assholes.
Yeah, right?
It won't go away.
So that's why I'm kind of like, I started this blog, first off, to see if people want more. Like, if what I am doing, people like, then all right, cool. Like, if think is good for people, then I'll keep doing it. But if not, like, yeah, sure, I'll keep posting it just because.
Should you be doing it just because you enjoy doing it?
Well, and that's where I come from too. But
and eventually you get better at it over time.
How I look at it too is, because this is just the way that I think, is I think it's good. So I can sit there and I can write a story in my head, and I do all the time. I have a million stories in my head all the time. But are they? They're entertaining to me, but are they entertaining to everybody else?
Well, I think it's like any craft or trade. So, like, let's say, for example, somebody goes into making briar pipes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your first couple pipes are not going to smoke well. Your odds are you're not even going to drill them right the first time. So you're going to end up like tossing out 4 or 5 pipes, maybe more, before you finally get one that's drilled right. Well, then you have to shape the pipe. And that first pipe, it may smoke well, it may do its job, it could look like a total piece of shit. So, but it's one of the time eventually you can get good at.
Yeah.
And
that's why I think I want people, I want to get my blog out there. I want to start writing more. I need to start writing more because I do enjoy it. And I've noticed just with the last couple of blog posts that I've posted, I've only got 3 on there. That it's helped me mentally.
mm-hmm.
It's helped me get over some of my anxiety, get over some of my I don't want to necessarily say depression, but blues.
If I was in a fucking cubicle, I'd be depressed.
and I'm
nobody is meant to sit in a damn cubicle and spend the majority of their hours in a day.
And me, I could say from personal experience, because I sit in a cubicle for the vast majority of my life, that the people that I work for are great. We used to work for the same company.
Mm-hmm.
You had a horrible experience. I don't have that horrible experience. The people that I work for are amazing. Boss is, my God, like, just, she's great. Like, and that's where like I also kind of feel guilty too, because it's kind of one of those, like, 90% of the people that live here in this country would kill to have the job that I have. I make great money, and I work for amazing people, for my perspective, a good organization.
You know how many people have jobs and make great money and they're absolutely miserable and they end up leaving?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it also boils down to, like, the simple fact of, I mean, now I have bills, now I have things that I want to take care of, but I want something else. Like, and by something else, when I was 20, and I literally Googled what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, because I graduated high school at 17. For my high school graduation, I got $1,000 for my high school graduation party. My mom went all out. I got just over $1,000. And I was like, this is the last summer that I'm ever going to have off for the rest of my life. So I'm going to take this $1,000 and I'm going to piss it away. And I have nothing to show for it. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is where I went to. Almost literally.
You were paying for
but I mean, in a sense, you always pay for sex. So I partied. And I will say that those 3 months was probably, I don't want to say the greatest 3 months, because I'll tell you what, like, me being with my fiance now, like, I'll never give that up to go do the 3 months that I had after I graduated high school ever again.
It was like an appropriate thing to do. It
was one of those, like, I took that, I spent it on pizza, I spent it on beer, I spent it on copious amounts of drugs, and just had a great time. And
so you were Hunter S. Thompson for like 3 months.
I didn't travel anywhere though. The farthest I traveled was Detroit for a couple of rock concerts. And that's where the rock comes in. So I loved it. But then, end of the summer, I had half of my friends had to go back to school for their senior year. The other half, moved off to college, and some of them went to work, um, whatever, doing part-time gigs and that kind of stuff. So here was me. I had $350 left in my name. I was almost 18, and I had nothing. So I was like, all right, I guess it's time for me to find a job. So I got a job waiting tables. I was a server, and I was like, I'm content with it. Whatever. As long as I don't got to go back to school, I'm fine with it. I don't care. I did it for about a year. Then I realized that it sucked. And what am I going to do? I was like, what is practical that I can do with the rest of my life? So I'd always been interested in computers. Video gamers. I have another good friend of mine that's huge into video games, and he was like my you met him, Will.
Huh.
Yeah, he's my brother from another mother.
The guy that slept in the tent all day while we were out camping and hunting and fishing.
Yes, yes.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He was basically just looking for an excuse to just get away for a little while, which I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But so I Googled. I hopped on the internet and I Googled top 3 or top career fields for 18-year-olds, and and I still remember it was business, information technology, or healthcare. So I was like, well, business sounds boring. Healthcare sounds like too much responsibility. I like computers, sure. A week later, I enrolled. 2 years later, I got a degree. 3 months after that, I landed a job working for a hospital. So now I have 2 of the 3 fields covered. I'm working for healthcare in the IT field. So I'm like, sweet. I'm content. I'll finish out the rest of my life working here. And I worked there for a couple of years, and I went through my ups and my downs. But now, like, I'm less than a month from my birthday. I'll be turning 29, and I want more. But actually, I take that back. No, I want less. I'll be the first one to admit, because everybody says, I always want more. I always want more. No, I want less. I want less stress. I want less responsibility. I want less difficulties. I want to be able to wake up in the morning, drink a cup of coffee, and not have to worry. And I think that's where the vast majority of people are. And I'm preaching to the choir for most of you. And that's where I kind of started dabbling in other. This was a couple of years ago. I started wanting to dabble in other things, and where can I go? What can I do? Now, and then kind of writing clicked back into my head. I didn't mind. Will it go anywhere? I don't know. Sure, maybe. So and it really helped when I met you, because you had already published books and you were already not an established writer, but you already had books out there. You were already not making a living, but you had already made that first step.
I made enough to get out of debt. That was a big part.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is because I have a mountain of debt right now, and it's killing me. And that's where it's like, and then I found myself, doing I think what the vast majority of, I hate to speak for you, for the viewers, but what the vast majority of viewers do. What would I do? What would I $1 million? I do this, and this, and it always came down to I just want to be happy. Like, if I won $500 million tomorrow, I'd pay off all of my debts, pay off everything that I had, and I'd buy a tiny little plot of land up in the UP somewhere with a nice little house, and I would be happy. I'd be content. I would get married and spend the rest of my days chopping wood. You know, not literally. I wouldn't, spend 10 hours a day just cutting wood, but like that. That would be. I would be content with that.
On a hike note break.
Yes.
Lane Limited, HGL, which was recommended by Padre Piper on the Pipe and Tapper podcast. And this, I have to say, is probably the best thing I've smoked all afternoon.
Leave
that
amazing. Leave that up. I'm almost done with this one. So
I can understand why this is one of his favorite smokes. Have never tried this blend before, and it's almost like a nice combination of a lot of the Lane tobaccos that I enjoy. So, I myself, I have considered to be a really good job. I finally get paid enough to where I can enjoy life a little bit and not worry about my bills and, feel secure. But at the same time, do I want to clean toilets the rest of my life? So,
and that's where you have to kind of ask yourself the question. Now, sorry to cut you off, but you have to work towards your dreams. You have to put yourself out there. And that's like with us doing this, it's putting ourselves out there. And if people call me a whiny little crybaby little bitch, okay.
You make how much money and you're still not happy?
It's not money. I mean, I don't care about money. I just need enough money to survive. And right now, the amount of money I'm making isn't enough for me to survive in the lifestyle that I unwillingly chose 10 years ago. I feel bad for like people like my parents that 40 years ago, that's all they know.
Yeah.
And now they've hit that age bracket where they really can't change what they do. They always, and I'm not, they can't.
There's a comfort in what you're familiar with.
Yes.
And that's
exactly
the issue with over time. So like, if I didn't leave our former, or the company,
your former organization,
yeah.
the company I still work for.
If I didn't leave that when I did, I'd probably still be there today and be in a worse situation. I would definitely be in a worse situation than I am now. I mean, my situation right now is a hell of a lot better than it ever was. And only by leaving that place did I find something better.
Yes.
However, it's still in the same type of work that I was doing beforehand. And what I'd like to get into, my ultimate goal, it's simple in terms of, I want to wake up in the morning and be excited to go do what it is I'm going to do. As opposed to, I have to be somewhere at this time, required to certain responsibilities that I'm supposed to. And, for some people, having that is enough to where they can feel respected and feel like they're doing something with their lives. I, on the other hand, I get more enjoyment from the excitement of doing what I'm doing. If I'm working on a new book, that's when I feel like I'm accomplishing something. If I'm learning a new skill, doing something, whether it's making pipes or...
Make pipes?
Huh?
You make pipes?
No, but I have...
Oh.
but I've lately been getting the tools to do such a thing, and it's something that I want to at least try out and see whether it's something I enjoy doing. And I think doing stuff like that is where you branch out and figure out, this is something I enjoy doing. I could probably maybe not make a living, but I get enjoyment out of doing it. Maybe some other people get enjoyment out of my product.
And I think that's where a lot of the people, and I'm speaking for myself too, and this has just been a recent occurrence to where I'm determined whether I can make a living and I can quit my day job. It doesn't matter. Doing something that you enjoy doing will help you mentally. That just went away.
Goodbye, viewer, wherever you went.
That do something that you enjoy doing, and then do it. Find something that you truly enjoy doing. Like for me, I find a spiritual connection when I'm in the woods, and not to sound like that guy, that is the religious speaker or whatever, but just to.
There's nothing like taking some mushrooms, going out bow hunting. I'm telling you, there's no other experience.
You don't, but you don't need to, but that's mine. That's what I personally find enjoyment out of. Now, does hunting pay off in any way, shape, or form? Aside from the meat that you get, no. You spend a lot of long hours sitting in the woods. You spend a lot of money getting set up and a lot of time, but I think that's where it gets you away from all of the melodramatic day-to-day crap that you have to deal with. And it gets you thinking about yourself. I think you can ask any sportsman, any fisherman, any hunter, anybody that's spent any significant amount of time out in the woods, they know themselves more than the average individual because they spend so much time alone with themselves, with their thoughts. They understand themselves. And that's what I really enjoy about going out into the woods, about hunting, about fishing, hiking, camping, because it gives you that moment of clarity to reassess who you are as an individual, to reassess what you want out of relationships, out of your life, and then you can go in when you're not hunting, not fishing, not doing these things. You can take those thoughts and put them to, and like you said, they'll fail. More than you'll succeed, but on the off chance that you will succeed, you might be able to just do that full time. And over the years of hunting and fishing and camping and spending time with just myself, I've realized that, I like the organization I work for. I like my day job, but I don't love it. And if I can find something else to do that can pay the bills, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with what I do now, but if say one day my blogs or my, if I ever do publish a book, makes it big and I make millions of dollars, well, I'm not going to stick with my day job. I'm gone. And I think that's where the vast majority of people, so many people have great ideas, amazing ideas for whatever. So stuck teams, that they question themselves, or they're too tired to work on themselves,
Yeah.
and they don't ever do it. And then, they let 10 years, 20 years, 30 years go by before they ever actually even attempt to try those ideas. Attempt those ideas now. Do it now. And
Especially when you're young.
even if you fail, it doesn't matter if you're young.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it does.
Because you have the... See, this is something that came up quite a few times on Dave Chang podcast, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't take the traditional route of like working for the best chefs and going about learning all these different skills. He was of the mindset of, I'm just going to open my own restaurant and I'm going to make the food that I want to make, and if it fails, it fails type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he also didn't have the option of it failing, because if it failed, boom, he was done.
Mm-hmm.
And
but he fell off the deep end. He took a gamble,
mm-hmm.
and it obviously succeeded.
But what he says on his show, and what other people have said at the same time, is if you have an idea and everybody's idea, do it anyways, because you're in your 20s, you can go and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you always have other options available to you.
How I look at that, though, is like when I was younger, I was always scared of failure. So I never wanted to fail. So I never took that leap.
Mm-hmm.
And the older, and I say 20, I'm still in my 20s.
Well,
My early 20s.
And I always got the worst advice from people who never did anything and was telling me I was stupid for trying to do something.
Yeah. Whereas, if I look at somebody that's in their 50s and they've tried 3 or 4 different business ideas and they've all failed miserably, and he's in a mountain of debt, and he's losing everything, I respect that man more than somebody that's in his 50s that is just barely scraping by because he never attempted anything. I would rather now, I'm in my right now, I would rather try something and fail and say, hey, my friend, what have you tried?
Right.
So yeah, if you're 50 and you've always had this idea, whatever the idea is, but you've always been scared of losing everything, assess what you'll lose. Plan for the best, expect the worst. Expect the best, plan for the worst. Sorry, I got that backwards.
Hope.
Yeah.
Don't expect, just hope.
Yeah. Obviously insulate yourself a little, but go for it. Try it. And if it's something that you have to jump off the deep end for, then try to figure out a way to where you can jump into the shallow end before jumping into the deep end. So you don't lose everything, but do it.
Well,
Because if anybody sits there and says, hey, Pipe Grump, nice shirt. Which one, this
Pipe
guy or
Grump.
this one?
It's Pipe Grump.
That's Pipe Grump, I know.
Yeah.
Great.
Star Wars? No.
Star Wars, yes.
Oh.
No, Star Wars wins. Star Wars wins every
What?
time.
Oh, come on. It's beer, man. It's beer.
I still like beer.
It still says Watts. Wars.
We understood. No, I do have to say that he sent me your video last night, and that was great. And he's gonna have to come up with something better.
No. He entered my car.
Yeah, but he challenged you. You have to.
Did he challenge me?
He didn't come out and say he challenged you.
The whole point of the
but
contest.
I'm saying that you need
so
to come up with
different personalities
Now-
within
okay.
the community.
Now you have to come up with a story.
Why do I? No, that's
Yeah,
that's
you do.
his thing.
You-
He just created his own genre of pipe videos.
All right, fine.
Which is amazing.
That was very good though.
I was jealous about all the different tobaccos he used in that story too. Because I'm like,
know.
I own like one of those. Jealous. this box over here, so that's only half of what I bought, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nice. But no, going back, like, I don't care what your age is, and I don't care what your idea is. Try it. Like, what would you, if you're, okay, say you're in your 50s, and you've always wanted to you were a mountaineer, or you always thought you were a mountaineer.
It's tough to make something up relying on the blends you have.
Well, you did a good job, sir. No, if you were a mountaineer, or say you, I don't know, you always wanted to be a mountaineer. Say your whole dream was to climb Mount Everest, and you made it halfway up to Mount Everest before you turned back. Wouldn't you rather say that you made it halfway to Mount Everest versus never have?
I feel like
tried?
it's almost a motivation to make it all the way the next time. So it's kind of like if you start your own business.
But
yes, the first two failed, right? Maybe it wasn't the right service you're providing. Maybe your bookkeeping was wrong. Maybe you're just horrible at accounting. Who knows? But the
wrong
point
location.
is, if you
circumstances.
learn from those experiences, you might get it right the third time.
Exactly, and
So you only got
basically-
halfway up Everest. What did you do wrong? Oh, maybe you didn't bring enough of this. Maybe you forgot something.
or maybe you were too old and you weren't in the correct physical shape to do it. There's nothing wrong with saying, I went, I tried, I failed, versus I never even tried.
Well, I'm gonna use my own example. So when my first book came out, it was just something that I threw on the Amazon. I wasn't expecting anything to happen with it, right? I was already in the middle of writing book 2, just out of my own curiosity as to what happened with these characters.
Yeah.
So the first one goes on there, and before I know it, I'm checking the sales just out of curiosity, and it's like 100 copies are sold. And I'm like, I don't know 100 people. And I didn't tell anybody about it. So who the hell is buying my book?
Right?
And the next thing I know, what's the title of your book? After the Day, book 1 of the Future Collapse series, available still on Amazon. And
Buy them all because they're great. I've read them all.
I'm slowly writing my own.
Awesome.
As you should.
Yes.
Throw in many, many pipe tobacco blend names.
Just for you, check out my blog at redneckobsession.wordpress.com. Continue.
He has no shame.
I will plug the shit out of it. I don't care. I've only got 3 posts. I started it last week. So. He says, okay, thanks, man.
So my book comes out. It starts selling. Word gets out at work that so-and-so / janitor guy has a book on Amazon and it's selling. So there's doctors looking it up. There's nurses looking it up. And I start getting all these criticisms from these people as to like, hey, I checked out your book and you have some like grammar errors and some spelling errors.
Who cares?
Blah, blah. But here's the thing: it's to make them feel better because out of everyone in that area,
nobody is a written publisher.
Nobody had written a damn book. It's probably something they thought about doing. It's something that they're like, oh yeah, one day when I retire, and here's this guy who mops up blood, cleans toilets, does all this horrible shit for a living, and yet he goes to home every night and sits at his computer and plugs out a book after a few months.
Because you worked on yourself after you worked for somebody else.
Mm.
And that's where always find time to work for yourself. And I need to take my own advice for that. As much as I can spew it, I need to take my own I need to work on myself.
Like say doctor afterwards. Respectfully.
So it's kind of one of those, like, I can sit here and I can say, yeah, go for it, jump off the deep end, but how can I say that if I've never done it?
Right.
You know, and yeah, sure, I've started a podcast right now, and it looks like we have 0 views. So,
But he's still talking, so
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand YouTube.
I don't understand YouTube either.
But I'm putting myself out there, you know, and I'm putting myself out there on the internet for potentially millions of people to look at. Yeah, that's the first step. That's me jumping into the shallow end for me, because, well, I don't have my other shirt on right now that says I don't like going outside because it's too peoply out there. I don't know. I mean, yeah, would I like to write a book? Absolutely. Is it a lot of work? Absolutely. Will I? I hope so. One day, you know. I mean, and that's the saying that I always tell people to never say put out an end date. But I think what I'm going to do to kind of force myself is I think I'm gonna take my first book and I'm just gonna publish it chapter by chapter on my blog.
Get some feedback. It'll motivate
you know,
you
and
to keep
then
going.
and then after the after all feedback, I can go back and I can edit it, I can do my thing, and then I can publish it and put it out on as a book and whatever. I mean, yeah, sure, it's for free, but I don't care. I that's the other thing too is, I mean, if I get people out there that want to see my work, that's awesome, you know, and I'll keep doing it. I think that's what's really holding me back is just the unsurety of.
Is it costing you anything to publish?
No.
Does it cost you anything to write?
No. Well,
it's not the old days of like, unless you have an agent and unless you have a publisher, the only other option you had was to go to one of those shitty companies where you spend $5,000 to have
somebody publish it.
Have somebody send you a couple boxes of your book, and then you have to go and find people that are actually willing to pay.
Yeah.
To buy it.
And top dollar too. That was the other thing that I liked about your Collapse series was you started the first book off at what, $1?
No, it was $2.99 or $1.99.
But still, though,
like
you know, I mean, if I needed to, if I had a box of books and I needed to make $5,000 off,
and that's
the
the
box
other
of books
different
to
thing.
break even.
You have the digital download.
Yep.
Which printing for that is nothing.
So yeah, that's something that I need to work on. I just need to set time aside every day to do that. Hold that thought. I need to go use your restroom.
Yeah. All right. All right. So this afternoon, I have tried out of these blends Haunted Bookshop, which is phenomenal. I've also tried the Sutliff Wild Cherry, which, unlike other aromatics, it tastes like cherry. It doesn't just smell like cherry. Voodoo Queen. You know, honestly, I'm gonna have to do a review on that later because I can't remember what it tasted like and smelled like after a couple of other blends that I've had. Let's see here. Haven't had that one yet. Did I try Old Joe? I think I tried Old Joe Krantz, and that was kind of had like a almost like a creamy, buttery undertone to it. Actually, that's all I've tried so far, I think. Oh, nope. Lane Limited, HGL. Haven't had Joe Krantz. I would say it's definitely not. It's actually more of a complex Sorry, mailman's going by. But the Lane Limited HGL. If you like anything by Lane, that tastes and smells like a combination of several blends, like the 1Q. Is it the BCA, which is a very vanilla, dark blend. It also tastes like a lot of them all blended in together. It's a nice mix. Padre Piper turned me on to that when he was on a podcast, and just tried it for the first time today, and I can understand why that became quickly one of his favorite blends. Very understandable. What time is it?
Almost 4.
Yeah, should probably wrap this up soon.
Yeah, I probably should.
So, Haunted Bookshop, going back to that one, I can understand with the nicotine buzz that I had going on. If you want to know why Match's A60 is so mellow during his feeds or his videos, that'll explain a lot. Basically, a guy's getting high every time he smokes, and it's not weed. It's
just tobacco.
It's just tobacco. So, yeah, I really understand. It's Matches 860 because that's kind of how I was feeling right after smoking that. That was phenomenal.
I will say.
Where is it? I don't remember the name. What, the Voodoo Queen? Or?
Yeah, is it Voodoo? Yeah, Voodoo Queen. I will say Voodoo Queen.
HB Haunted Bookshop.
I liked it. It was a little on the harsh side. Did you think it was harsh?
Harsh.
Like
define harsh.
Like it was. I don't know. It was a little rough when you first smoke it. It's a little. I don't know. It's a little rough. I think. It's.
You're using horrible words.
I know.
Describe this. I did a video on it. Almost fell over. Yeah. Yep.
Well, you only ever smoke pipes, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I've been a smoker since I was 10, so burley is usually rough. Okay. So, but at least he understands what rough means.
Yeah. Prince Albert. Yeah, that's a rough.
See.
Yeah.
The Voodoo Queen, that was a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yep.
I really liked that. That was a smooth smoke.
Did you try the HGL?
No, I didn't. There was more in my pipe than. Yeah, there's still.
Dark Prince has Prince Albert in it. Dark Prince, is that the one that you renamed or blended, or am I thinking it was?
Looking to you.
That's my blend. Thought so. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, actually, Ben needs to check out your video with your cellar and your whole setup, because I was telling him that was a cool video where you were piecing it all together, installing it in the closet and putting all the jars in and everything, and then
I'm just amazed at the amount of tobacco that you have to be able to write. What was that? Like a 15-minute story on just using your tobacco? That's insane. This is also coming from a guy that will go to the local pipe, the local pipe shop, at least, that's right down the road from my house. Well, your house, and picking up what was it? The Prince Black, not Prince Black. What the hell is it called?
What was it?
Captain Black's
Black.
Gold.
Most viewed video, my tobacco is minimal compared to most. Yeah.
I don't know. That story was great, though. I loved it.
Still the only person to enter my goth.
Well, I mean, we're all just starting out here, you know. I mean, and that's why we need to give a shout out to you, Grumpy Piper, Pipey Jumper, Pipe Grump. Sorry.
Show some respect.
Shut up. And you guys and
the White Knight is the next Frodo Baggins.
I hope not, because he was a bitch.
Tolkien's gonna have to come back from his grave and be like, man, I gotta kick it up a notch with this guy writing.
Oh my God, who's the guy that writes the Game of Thrones?
Oh, Martin?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna finish.
I have never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I've heard great things. Smite me if you will. I don't care. I've never seen an episode of it.
George R. Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones just because, like, he's one of those guys that just doesn't have any loyalty to his characters at all.
No.
Every time I talk to a Game of Thrones fan, they'll
show's great.
Well, of course, the books are always better.
Well, they cut out so much from the books just to make the show.
Well, I mean, like Lord of the Rings. You know, I mean, Lord of the Rings books are amazing. Not trying to take away from the movies. I mean, the movies were good, but the books were just to die for.
And they weren't written like if that series was written today, Two Towers. He did something with the Two Towers.
They make it political with Republicans. And Democrats.
No. I'm not even going there. It's the style of which he wrote it. Because today, if he was to try to get that book published, nobody would want to do it. They'd say, okay, what you have to do is alternate the chapters. Because you have book 1 and book 2 in that volume. Mm-hmm. And book 1 follows the guys trying to find the 2 hobbits that were taken by the orcs, and it follows that whole story. And then it cuts off halfway through the book, and then it starts all over again and follows Frodo and Sam
from the beginning, but it follows their story.
Yes.
Well, and then you have
completely unheard of these days.
You have The Hobbit, which was like a 300-page book that they turned into 3 movies.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
The Hobbit was a preteen book. Like it was a good book. I'm not trying to take away from it, but
well, kind of.
It was a great book, but it was not 3 movies worthy.
No, and like that orc character. So there really wasn't a villain that you had in The Hobbit, right? I mean, there was.
Well, they had the dragon. They had
Smaug, but then the orcs, like there was, because that was the first book I read Zoe when she was in the hospital.
But
there's the elves.
Yeah, but
which were part villain, part hero.
But there's only one paragraph that I recall where they actually talked about the head orc who was hunting them.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's throughout the entire movie, and
and you had like Smaug. I mean, everything built up to the big dragon.
Instead of mixing viewpoint chapters like they do now, he grouped all in one chapter. Yep. Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings?
In the 2 Towers.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I still love the movies. And that's the other thing too.
The Hobbit movies suck compared to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I thought it was
agreed.
So Lord of the Rings, I felt like was more geared towards adults, whereas The Hobbit, I think he was trying.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars, for instance.
2 Towers and Return of the King until the end, he wrote that way. Yeah.
Yep. The Fellowship of the Ring was okay, but it was the build up, and I like the way that in the movies, arguing more towards the movie side of things.
physics didn't exist in the Hobbit movies.
Come on, nice shirt. You said nice shirt. Have you seen Star Wars though? Like, there's zero physics in that
don't
one
get
either.
started on Star Wars because The Last Jedi, I have so many issues with The Last Jedi. That's like a whole nother live feed. We could spend an entire 3 hours of me discussing how much I hated The Last Jedi. Totally different.
Well, okay. You had the prequels, which don't
Are
really
we going
exist.
there?
No, yeah,
Are
we're
we
going.
go-
We are
Oh,
going there.
fuck. Okay.
We are gonna. I'm wearing the shirt. We're going there. Okay, the prequels don't exist. Okay, the prequels is simply they don't exist.
As they should.
Ewan McGregor is a great actor. Obi-Wan Kenobi is Ewan McGregor.
Let's go there.
No, I'm sorry. Ewan McGregor was a horrible Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he was still the best character in the prequels. So let's just not... Prequels just don't even exist. Natalie Portman is hot. Sucked as Padme. That's the only thing
She
she had
also
going
went crazy.
Well, so did all of the hot
Yeah.
actresses. But anyways, so you have 6 movies. You have the original trilogy, which were the start of this
The holy trinity.
The Holy Trinity.
The holiest of holies.
Yes.
Don't mess with them.
No. And yet they still did with the DVDs. They tried to digitally remaster it. And it, like, I remember, because I have the DVD, the updated, digitally remastered DVD trilogy of the first 3.
Them. Yeah.
And then I have the VHS.
Classic.
Old school
awesome.
classic.
The only reason to keep a VCR.
And I've almost burned all of them out, like, because I've watched them so many times. And then I remember, like, I'd watched them so much when I was a kid, and then I watched the DVDs, like, just a couple of years ago. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's Darth Vader from the prequels that he added in there. I'm like, oh my God, no! Why did you do that?
Can we talk about The Last Jedi?
Sure, bring it up. What was your problem with The Last Jedi?
Okay, opening scene, right? They want to do this epic battle. You have bombers going in to take out these Star Destroyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about how physics don't exist in The Hobbit? Apparently, whoever wrote The Last Jedi never watched or knew anything about the Star Wars universe before writing this damn script, right? Basically, they try to do like a World War II battle scene in space because you have these bombers with these rows of bombs. You have the the doors open, and they have to hit this button so that they drop in space onto these other Star Destroyers. Gravity doesn't exist.
Okay.
There's no gravity in space.
I'm not a physicist. I'm not a physicist. I'm never going to pretend to be a physicist. But you shut your whore mouth, Susan.
If they were rockets, cool. If they were using lasers, awesome.
No,
but for you to have
okay, you can make the exact same argument towards any of the original 3 movies as well.
No.
Yeah, you can.
No, there's other issues too that I have to bring up, right? Okay, so you have, you also have the one bomber with the Asian girl in it. So the cockpit of this spaceship is blown out. Therefore, all the oxygen should be sucked out of this vessel, right?
As soon as you open the bomber doors,
That
should have
too,
sucked all of the oxygen out.
Thank you. So what happens? Oh, she's knocked unconscious. She wakes up. There's the remote. She has to get the remote. She's reaching for it. There's no gravity in space. Why is this an issue? I don't know. But for some reason, having no air...
They were in the outer atmosphere of whatever planet they were currently on. There. Finish that argument.
If you're floating in space, there's no air.
Shh.
There's no air. I'm sorry. But the opening scene of that movie sucked.
You have
Then you have Luke, who's on this Mary Poppins Princess General bullshit. Yes. So then
all of the Star Wars, if you have to take physics out and take all of reality out to enjoy Star Wars.
Then you have Hobo Bum Luke sitting on this planet.
Okay, Luke fucking sucked. All right, I'll admit.
Okay, and then
excuse my language.
And then he's like, "Hey, I'm thirsty." He goes over to this weird like walrus creature and like squeezes its tit, gets this blue milk out. He's like, this is good. Hey, Luke, why don't you just suck on the damn tit? What the hell? Like, it's already gross. Just
finish the job.
Finish the job. He's on this planet all by himself. How many times did him and that? Why is she lactating? Did Luke get it pregnant? What the hell?
You have like, you know what? And the other thing too is when it comes to Star Wars, you're right in every aspect, but you shut your whore mouth, Susan, because you're talking about a holy grail of majesty. Okay?
Hey, if you want to stick with the original trilogy, I'm all for it. But the new bullshit they're coming out with, the only good thing in the movie was the light speed fleet destruction. Oh yeah, because in every other Star Wars movie, you have an infinite power source in your ships. All of a sudden, we're low on fuel. Oh my God, we're not going to make it. When did I start watching Battlestar Galactica? When did that become a thing? Because they basically reenacted the whole chase scene.
You haven't even brought up Princess Leia yet.
All of a sudden, she's a Jedi?
No. I'm talking about the fact when her ship got destroyed and she used the Force to, when she was in space, use the Force to gravitate back.
All of a sudden, there's no gravity. Huh. Weird. That didn't apply to the first scene.
Or the simple fact that space is a total vacuum, and as soon as your skin touches it,
use the Force.
But okay,
actually,
I'm sitting here now. You're having me argue against Star Wars. Shut up, okay? Like I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing in any way, shape, or form that physics in Star Wars simply is not possible.
Mary Poppins Princess. Yeah, that's what he's getting at.
It's total bullshit. I totally agree with you, but Star
Wars would have frozen.
Her eyes wouldn't have even freeze because she would have literally imploded. She would have been in a total vacuum. She would have been freaking we have 1,000 pounds of pressure on us right now that are keeping us whole. If we lost all of that, we would simply separate. She would have simply just.
I don't know about that.
I think that's
no. That's not no. You basically just suffocate before like.
Well, yeah, but either way, like she would have died. So I'm not arguing with the fact that Star Wars physics simply isn't reality, but Star Wars is still an amazing movie.
Kyle Roy. The
Kylo Ren?
Yes, that guy. How about how he outsmarts what's his name?
Han Solo?
So they reenact that whole scene where he like takes the lightsaber from him and he puts it right next to him, and then he just flips the switch and like cuts him in half. Luke couldn't do that with the Emperor. Luke didn't think of that. All of a sudden, Kylo Ren is smarter than Luke.
You do
Rogue One, awesome. Solo, horseshit. Force Awakens, awesome. I felt like Force Awakens was just all the original trilogy thrown into one.
No, they kind of I feel like they kind of remade the newest.
Hey, pumpkin.
Excuse me. The newest trilogy that they came out with, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. What the hell was the other one?
But it was better than Last Jedi. Snoke. Yes, that guy.
Oh god. Yeah, they made him all like super beefed up and powerful, and then all of a sudden, what's her nuts cuts him in half. But no, like okay. I felt like they were remaking the original trilogy.
if you think about it, like The Force Awakens, if you watch The Force Awakens and then watch A New
It has
Hope,
all the iconic scenes, just
It
done in a
does.
slightly different way.
it does. And there's a lot of different reasons if you read the backstory as to why Kylo Ren killed Han Solo. First off, that was a son-father thing. Secondly, it was a Ford simply wanted to get out of the Star Wars series.
He's like 75 now,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But they ended him, like, they ended that character as perfectly as they possibly could have.
Yeah.
So,
And what was up with Luke doing the whole like weird meditation floating thing, and
Luke's character was absolutely atrociously horrible and he should have been killed off the first 5 minutes of The Force Awakens. He just shouldn't have existed.
if they found his body after, remember when they set all the blasters and it was like keep firing. If there was an obliterated Luke in the dirt,
I'm trying, Sarah, hurry up. I'm making faces at her so she can smile.
Wife is taking pictures of the kid.
Yeah, and I'm making faces at her.
But yeah, I'm not happy with any of the Star Wars movies. Anything made after Return of the Jedi, just no.
Yeah, but like the original trilogy was the best. The prequel trilogy that shall not be named.
You just named it.
Well, it's the prequel trilogy. I'm not going to name any of the damn things that were in it because they shouldn't exist. My children will never watch them.
Bad as Luke was, he should have died from this.
Spoiled walrus milk. Yes. Yes.
I don't care how strong he is with the Force. Like, no, that should have killed him.
No, he should have.
You know, Luke had worms.
I don't know. He came down with a syndrome of pussyfoot, in my opinion. Anyways, we should probably wrap this up. I gotta finish my beer.
Well,
I gotta
Pat
get out in the
Grump,
woods.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate your video. Great. Shout out to him.
All right, I think we're hitting like 4 hours.
Yeah, something like that.
Gotta go, Jones. I have a family dinner. Talk to you later. Yes, us as
Awesome.
well.
Yes.